It's an unwritten rule, but around here, it's the law. You're either a Yankee fan or a Mets fan. For the Bombers faithful, it's all about pinstripe pride. The Babe, Joltin' Joe, the Mick, and the rings. For the Mets fan, it's Seaver and the miracle of '69. Mookie and the mood around Queens right now, because this current team of young stars and veteran leaders is gobbling up the wins far more than their storied counterparts from the Bronx. Yes, the Rocket announced his return with fanfare, but the Bombers don't seem as explosive as they'll need to be in the battle for the American League East. So these days, the normally upbeat Yankee fan is cautiously optimistic, while the Met fan is as confident as can be. They only share a city's name. For everything else, it's an all-out fight. Fans making their way over from the number 7 train here in Flushing Meadows to Shea Stadium. Yankee fans, Met fans, they're all here, and the Yankees are trying to avoid a sweep at the hands of the Mets, who have won each of the first 2 games. Fans still heading in from the subway platform over to Shea Stadium. The Yankees getting ready to bat here against John Maine. Alex Rodriguez will be hitting cleanup. Willie Randolph, the manager of the Mets. And Randolph, in his 3rd season as the manager of the Mets, and he led them all the way to Game 7 of the League Championship Series last year, and they've had a better record each year that he has managed than the year before. Joe Torre, the manager of the Yankees, and right now the beleaguered manager of the Yankees. And again, a topic of discussion among Yankee fans here in New York is Joe Torre going to last the season? Is he going to be fired because of the Yankees' inability to win here lately? Let's take a look at the Yankee batting order now, presented by Taco Bell. It'll be Johnny Damon leading it off in center field, and he's had a lot of injury problems so far this year. Derek Jeter at short, he's having an outstanding season. Hideki Matsui up in the 3rd spot in the order. Only 3 home runs for Matsui-san. Alex Rodriguez leading the league in homers and RBIs, 3rd base. Jorge Posada, the catcher, and he leads the league in batting average, having an extraordinary year. Bobby Abreu, the veteran, and he's been terrible at the plate. Robinson Cano, a home run yesterday. He's struggled. Doug Minkiewicz at first base, and he's hit much better lately after a horrible start. And Tyler Clippard making his major league debut. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But Tyler Clippard, who has never thrown a pitch in a big league game, will change that here tonight. Johnny Damon takes the ball up and away, and we are underway.
John, the real problem that Maine has sometimes is his strike zone. He's been a little erratic the last 2 starts. He has great stuff. When he throws strikes, I mean, he's going to win. But right now, he seems like he's struggling already to start this ball game. But the last 2 outings, he's walked several hitters, and that's what's gotten him in trouble. You see him missing badly with the first 3 pitches here. He misses 2 high fastballs away and a breaking ball in the dirt. But the good thing is he works very quickly, and that helps his defense a little bit.
Third baseman David Wright. And the wind played some tricks with that one. But he got it in fair ground. Johnny Damon is out number 1.
Well, I think Damon helped him out. That was a high fastball. And as I said, when he gets his stuff over the plate, he's tough to hit.
Here comes Jeter. Derek Jeter, in the midst of everything, has the 2nd highest batting average in the American League, or did at the start of the day, behind only his teammate, Jorge Posada.
And Johnny's reached base safely in 39 of the 40 starts he's had this year. I mean, that leads the major leagues, of course.
0-1 the count. Now, you mentioned John Maine, Joe. He has only allowed 2 hits in the first inning of his starts this year, total. This is his 9th start. He's only allowed 2 hits in the first innings of his 8 previous starts. So he's been about as tough as there's been in Major League Baseball in that first inning. Over in right center field, Sean Green, 2 down.
As I mentioned, he is very difficult to hit when he throws strikes. But if he gets behind a lot of hitters and has to come in with a fastball, then they can handle his fastball. But he has excellent stuff. I mean, I noticed that last year, the first time I saw him pitch, I said he could be one of the best pitchers in the league when he throws strikes.
Hideki Matsui now. Matsui hitting .280, 3 homers, 20 batted in. Matsui from Kanazawa, Japan, known as Godzilla in Japan, as he was the great home run slugger for the Tokyo Giants.
Well, they don't call him that here, John. He has not shown the same type of power here that he showed in Japan. And that's what I was talking about with Maine. The great movement on his fastball when he gets it down.
But he's ahead of him 0-2, and the Mets fans on their feet. Along the left field line, Chavez will have to chase it. Matsui digging for second, and he's got a stand-up double. Pretty good hitting there on an 0-2 pitch.
Excellent. And watch the swing. It's a defensive swing. He just kind of slaps at it and hits it down the right field line, left field line. But watch, it's supposed to be down. He moves it away, but it's up a little bit. And you can see, watch, he just reaches out and pokes it to left field. He wasn't trying to drive it, but he finds the left field line and he gets a base hit. And immediately the Yankees have a runner in scoring position for Alex.
Alex Rodriguez. Now, you mentioned Maine has been real tough on right-handed hitters. He has not allowed a home run to a right-handed batter in his last 11 starts plus, dating back to last year. And yet here he is facing the home run hittingest American leaguers so far this year. And that's inside for ball 1.
And you can see he has great movement on his fastball, and it moves even more when he gets it down.
A-Rod hit a home run here yesterday, and that was only the second one for him in his last 83 at-bats. So he had been in a real drought after hitting home runs at an historic pace early in the season. That fastball is striking, it's 2-1. Now, did that surprise you? Took that fastball on 2-0?
No, that was an excellent pitch. It started toward the middle of the plate and moved away and down. I mean, it was just an excellent pitch.
On the outside, strike 2.
So when he gets the ball down, John, it's almost impossible to get it in the air. This pitch starts off the plate outside, and watch it curve back. Look at that. Beautiful. He's got great movement on the fastball and see that pitch is down. If any of those pitches would have been up, I'm sure Alex would have attacked.
Matsui at second, ready to run at the crack of the bat with 2 down. And a foul high in the air off the right field line and into the crowd.
That one got a lot of the plate, but it wasn't up. Got it down a little, relatively between the knees and the belt buckle.
A-Rod has only faced Maine one other time. He's only had one at bat against him. Maine got him out. So he's very little experience against John Maine. Ooh, the high hard one there, and he fouled it back to the screen.
Well, what you see is that Maine has confidence in his stuff. He's not afraid to challenge anyone with his fastball because he knows he has such a good fastball. I mean, the movement allows him to throw that fastball, even though that one gets a lot of the plate. It's up enough that A-Rod couldn't catch up with it with 2 strikes.
2-2. Strike 3 called on the outside, and A-Rod did not think so. He is outraged at plate umpire Tony Randazzo. The inning is over. 1 hit, 1 left. Now rookie Tyler Clippard will head out to make his major league debut. Sunday night baseball, the Yankees nothing, and the Mets coming to bat. There's Jose Reyes, who will be seeing the first major league pitch thrown by Tyler Clippard in a few moments. Let's take a look at the Mets batting order. Presented by Taco Bell. Reyes, the dynamic leadoff man at short. Andy Chavez, also great speed, and he's been tough. Carlos Beltran, the slugger in center. Carlos Delgado, another slugger, first base, although off to a slow start. David Wright at third base, 2 homers yesterday. Sean Green, the veteran right fielder, hitting .320. Paul Oduka, veteran catcher, hitting 7th. Damion Easley filling in for Valentin at second base, and he's done well. And John Maine, the pitcher, batting 9th, all up against 22-year-old Tyler Clippard from Lexington, Kentucky originally. And his first major league pitch is a strike call on the outside corner. For AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre, 3-2 with a 2.72 earned run average. Originally a 9th-round draft choice by the Yankees 4 years ago. And that's strike 2 on the outside edge. 89-mile-an-hour fastball from Clippard. Jose Reyes from the Dominican Republic. Oh, man. Look at that curveball in the dirt. He struck him out. You have to love what you see so far if you're a Yankee fan, Joe.
One of the tough things, if you're a guy leading off and you haven't seen the guy before and he throws you 2 fastballs, you haven't seen his breaking ball, and all of a sudden then he throws you a breaking ball. I mean, you just haven't seen enough pitches to know what his breaking ball does.
Well, Reyes was not up there very long. 3 pitches and out. The Yankees have had terrible injury problems. Their starting rotation has been a total mess. Veterans gone, and even young replacements have gotten injured and out. Andy Chavez, and that's called a strike on the inside. A fastball with that movement back to the plate.
John, he ends up on the right side of the mound at one point, and on the third base side another point. I mean, he's thrown from 2 different angles, and he ends up in 2 different spots.
Chavez drops a bunt, but he fouls it, and now he's behind in the count, 0-2. Clippard has not thrown anything but a strike so far. The Mets, who have never seen Clippard before, David Wright with his arms over the rail there. Carlos Delgado with the bat. Delgado, who is in the hole with Beltran on deck. 0-2 the count. Oh, just off the outside. 1-2. Tyler Clippard, last year in Double-A ball, was a 12-game winner. Had more strikeouts than innings pitched. He was rated the 7th best Yankee prospect in their farm system after last season by Baseball America magazine. But the Yankees have had 7 different rookies who started games for them this year. This is the 11th overall pitcher to start a game. The 5th to make his major league debut for them this year. And that is truly extraordinary, whether it's the Yankees or any other team. The Yankees, in the last 30 seasons, are the only team, other than the 2002 Cardinals, to have used 11 starters by this point of the season, this early. This is their 42nd game, and 20 of them have been started by rookies. And some of them have pitched well.
He ends up over here once, and he ends up over here another time. He steps here, but he falls this way and he falls that way, which can be deceptive to the hitter.
2-2 the count to Chavez. And the curveball, and he fouled it off his foot.
And he ends up on the first base side there. And it wasn't with the pitches. It wasn't the curveball he ends up on one side and the fastball on the other, because that would be a telltale sign, obviously. But he does end up on the third base side one point and on the first base side another.
Have you ever seen anything like that?
No, because normally you want a guy to be consistent in his release point and his follow-through.
Popped up. Jeter out, but in from left. And taking it is Matsui.
Well, the one thing he's doing, he's throwing strikes.
11 pitches, 9 strikes.
And what you really want if you're the Mets, you want somebody to, that went to 2-2 and he fouled off a couple pitches. You want to see as many pitches as possible in the first inning so you can get a bead on what he's throwing and how he's trying to get the hitters out.
Here's Beltran. Fastball too high. And that's the first time that he has been out of the strike zone with his first pitch. Well, the guy must be pretty cool and calm, Joe, to come out and start throwing and hitting his spots immediately like that. Broken off a couple of hellacious curveballs. Right there, outside corner, strike one. Beltran hitting .300, 8 homers, 30 batted in, although seems to do his best hitting away from Shea Stadium. There's that curveball again. 1-2.
Well, he's got a very good curveball. The rotation, it starts in the strike zone, but it ends up exactly where he wants it, out of the strike zone. And, of course, it's going to take you a couple of bats before you even be able, so you can recognize the spin on it.
And a high curveball, shallow center, Johnny Damon. Tyler Clippard, an impressive first inning in his major league debut in the Subway Series, no less. Jorge Posada coming up for the Yankees, no score. Tyler Clippard, very impressive in his first inning in the major leagues, and the Yankees need that. They need somebody to be outstanding tonight. They have lost the first 2 games, one in which Andy Pettitte pitched extremely well and lost 3-2, and then one yesterday where their starting pitcher Darryl Rasner got injured, now on the disabled list. 2 batters into the game as Jorge Posada takes ball 2 from John Maine. 2-0 the count for the Yankees. They need a hero right now. They need somebody to step up, and it starts with that man on the mound. John Maine has been, in many respects, that man for the Mets because
yes, he has.
Coming into the season, those were the questions that surrounded the Mets. We knew they had a great lineup, diversity, power, speed, youth, veterans, lefties, righties, switch hitters. They seem to have it all in the lineup, but what about that staff with all the injury problems and big starters out? But John Maine has helped fill that void. He's been superb. 3-1 to Posada. Posada leading the American League in batting average. And he leads off with a walk here in the second inning. We're going to go to the studio now for a SportsCenter 30 at 30 update, and here is Steve Berthiaume.
Thank you, John. Spurs beat the Jazz in Game 1 of the NBA Western Conference Finals, 27-10 for Tim Duncan. Game 2 Tuesday in San Antonio, where Utah has now lost 17 straight. Number 2 in the world, Rafael Nadal, beaten by number 1 Roger Federer in Hamburg today. A 3-set win for Federer, who snapped Nadal's 81-match winning streak on clay. Next SportsCenter after the game, ESPN News is always on.
Bobby Abreu, the hitter. Runner at first, nobody out, no score in the game. John Maine throws him a called strike. Abreu not only is not hitting, Joe, he hadn't even been getting that many walks. His on-base average is only .307. Usually it's up over 400. He's always on base. And his slugging percentage is the lowest among all major league qualifiers. In other words, guys who play regularly. But he's got a base hit right here. Abreu came into the game hitting only .235, only 2 homers and 5 doubles. But now the Yankees have something going, and here comes young Robinson Cano. Another Yankee who's struggled early on at the plate, although he hit a home run here yesterday.
Well, he's been struggling in the field. I think you can live with someone not hitting, but you can't make mistakes in the field. He did not have a good game yesterday.
It's 3 errors yesterday, and a 4th that was only not an error because you can't presume a double play, and that's a called strike. And he's only hitting .217 with runners in scoring position in these clutch at bats.
Well, he's never been a big RBI man. He's hitting .255 for his career with runners in scoring position, but he's such a good player, and I mean, he's the type of guy that can get hot and drive in some runs when he's swinging the bat well.
He got hot last year. Ryan tight to Robinson Cano. 1 ball and 1 strike. Robinson Cano, whose dad was a ball player, and he idolized Jackie Robinson.
His dad's name was Jose.
So Jose Cano, when he had his son, he named him for Jackie Robinson. Hence Robinson Cano. Played in the Astros for us.
He had 6 at-bats, actually, I guess, in the Astros with the big league team.
Well, Duca out to talk to Cano as John Maine's having a little trouble with his command in this inning.
Well, I think what is happening, John, is he was trying to get the ball down to Abreu. He got it up, and Abreu was able to poke it into center field. He didn't hit it sharply, but because the ball was up, he was able to, line it into center field. He just has to concentrate on getting his stuff down. When he gets the ball down, he gets just tremendous movement on it.
Posada at second, Abreu at first. That's a strike on the outside. 2-2.
You can tell he has great movement on his fastball when he gets it down, because every time he throws it down, the hitter takes it. We have not seen anyone swing at that pitch when it's down because he has such great movement on it.
When we saw the Yankees back in April, Joe, we saw a team that had problems with their pitching and injuries, and they were struggling in that regard. But their lineup was still a meat grinder. As he fouls that one back out of play. Up top, through the middle to the bottom. You had tough hitters, pitchers, pitch counts rose, and we saw Matsuzaka get roughed up by them at Fenway Park. But now, a few weeks later, it's not the same. The Yankees have a lot of guys who've been struggling, and you start to wonder, is it really going to be a great lineup?
Well, don't underestimate the fact that when A-Rod was swinging, it took a lot of the pressure off a lot of the other hitters at that time.
Down the left field line, toward the foul pole, into the corner, foul ball!
Man.
Home run distance, but it just sliced foul. Wow.
Well, that's the slice that you get on the ball from the left-hander hitting it the opposite way. You get the side spin on the ball, and it just takes it foul. When it first left the bat, I thought it was going to be a home run, but you can see it doesn't miss by a lot.
2-2 to Cano. Now at Yankee Stadium, everything else being the same, that's a home run. Popped foul and out of play as he changed speeds on him there. Yankee Stadium, it's only 318 feet to the left field foul pole. So I think that
Definitely
ball wouldn't have had time to slice foul yet, maybe. Two and two to Cano. Alex Rodriguez. The Yankees a little pensive right now. Another off-speed pitch. Delgado gets the man in the middle. Abreu with Reyes covering. Posada over to third, and Cano safe at first, and there is one away. Rivalry Week presented by Bank of America will continue tomorrow and Wednesday as the Boston Red Sox will come here to New York to take on the Yankees, the two ancient and bitter rivals. That series will commence at Yankee Stadium 7 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. It's available in high definition on ESPN HD as well. Here's Doug Minkiewicz. Yankees need that clutch hit with one out. Cano not able to deliver. And it's a called strike to Minkiewicz. Hitting .228, 3 homers, 12 batted in. Former Minnesota Twin. Well, Maine, Joe, you were talking about him getting the ball down. And
yeah, well, when he gets it down, you see them take it.
And also, if you swing those pitches, you usually hit them on the ground.
And that's what he wants, obviously, in this situation. You want a ground ball to one of your middle infielders, preferably, so they can turn the double play.
So he's got Minkiewicz. No balls, 2 strikes. So he's got Minkiewicz at his mercy here.
If he can get the ball down.
Minkiewicz, meanwhile, he wants to get the ball up.
Correct.
Wants to get that runner home from third with less than 2 down. Fly ball could do it. That one was high and well outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The Yankees playing in the National League Park in Interleague play, so they do not have the designated hitter. Jason Giambi, who would ordinarily be the DH, not in there. The pitcher, Clippard, is on deck, so Minkiewicz becomes a key man in this possible rally. And he is down. Strike 3.
Well, he threw him a high fastball there, and I think LaDuca's going to talk to him because that wasn't where they wanted that pitch. But he's got such good movement on his fastball that he can occasionally get away with the fastball up.
The pitcher, number 19.
And you can see the movement on that ball because when LaDuca catches it, it's out of the strike zone. But when it crosses the plate, it is in the strike zone, as K-Zone showed you there, and then it really tails away.
Tyler Clippard in his major league debut, his first major league trip to the plate, trying to help himself out, and he swings at the high fastball and doesn't get it. Posada at third, Abreu at first, and it's 0-2.
Well, you can see he's a little tardy on that fastball.
The Mets fans, just as they did in the days of Dr. K, Dwight Gooden, rise to their feet, and he got a piece of that one.
Well, that ball tailed in a little bit, so he was able to see it better. Fastball up and over the plate he can't handle.
0-2. Posada led off the inning with a walk. Abreu singled into second, but Cano hit into a force play, and then Kavich struck out. Now Maine one strike away from getting off the hook. No score in the game. 1-2. Excellent eye there for Clippard.
Well, the movement on that pitch fooled him. He saw that it was away, and then all of a sudden it just ran in on him.
Strike three call. Third strikeout for Maine. A threat for the Yankees, but no runs. Delgado and then that man, David Wright, coming up for the Mets against Tyler Clippard. No score after 1.5. We're in the big city, the Subway Series. It's all New York, the Yankees and the Mets. And the Mets, talk about looking to turn things around in what has been mostly the history of this series. They have a chance to sweep the Yankees. We've seen it the other way.
Yeah.
There's a Yankee fan and a Met fan.
Well, look, there you got two teams. They're kind of crossing in the night, as they say. The Yankees are, struggling, and the Mets are getting better and moving up.
The Yankees looking like a team in sort of a downward spiral at the moment, and the Mets certainly with a lot of upward ascendancy. Carlos Delgado and a curve from Tyler Clippard in there for a called strike. He looks cool and calm out there, Joe.
I mean, he is throwing the ball exceptionally well.
Fastball is popped up foul and back out of play. Not an overpowering fastball, but he's got an 0-2 count to Delgado. Joe Torre, the beleaguered manager of the Yankees, his bullpen needed only one inning of work Friday after Andy Pettitte pitched beautifully, but when their starter got injured yesterday, the second batter of the game, the bullpen worked 8 innings. So they need some innings tonight, you would think, from Tyler Clippard. And then they also embark on a 3-game series with the Red Sox tomorrow night. 1-2 the count to Delgado. Fastball on the inside corner, strike 3. Second strikeout for Clippard.
One of the things I've been impressed with the young players today, they're not afraid of the spotlight in the big league. And they come here and they're not afraid of anything. Beautiful curveball, backdoor curveball, good fastball in. Fastball there in, and another one on the inside corner.
K-Zone said that was a little bit off the corner, but I think it was within that 2-inch.
Yeah, but the one before that, it said it was a strike.
It was a strike, yeah. Here's David Wright. And both with 2 strikes close enough that a batter probably needs to try to fight it off somehow.
Well, he set him up so well with the big breaking curveball away, and he thought he was going to pitch him away, and he came back inside the last 2 pitches.
David Wright, he hit home run in his first 2 at-bats yesterday, and they walked him intentionally the rest of the day. They gave him the Barry Bonds treatment.
watching Clippard, John, but I can't figure out why or when he falls off to the third base side of the mound, and other times he falls off to the first base side. And it's not about the pitches that he throws.
That one is hit well and good. A home run. David Wright with his third homer in 2 days. He's homered every time they have pitched to him these last 2 days.
But Wright goes the other way so well, and that ball was up a little bit, and he drives it over the right field wall. Watch, the target's down and away. You see where this pitch is, up and a little bit toward the middle.
Seventh homer for Wright. He had none in the month of April. Sean Green, ball one.
See, he fell off to the third base side there. That was a straight changeup, but that's about the first one I've seen him throw. And now this time he'll probably fall off to the first base side. Yeah.
Down the right field line, a fair ball. Sean Green will likely be awarded second base. A fan interfered with that one. And Green into second base on the fan interference. Tyler Clippard, after retiring the first 4 Mets hitters, gave up a home run to Wright and now a double to Green. Well, here is Loduca.
I think they say to him, it's not going to be that easy. You know, just come up here and shut down this potent Mets offense.
Paul Loduca hitting .286 for the year. Fastball strike. Loduca, 2 homers, 14 batted in. 1 out, 1 in, 1 on. Here in the second. The wind is blowing out toward left field. Loduca is not a power hitter, likely to take advantage of it. Popped up foul, and that will come back out of play. Out of the net, and the count is 0-2 to Loduca. That's a pretty good breeze. You can't see it so much on that flag, but the other flags, the pennants on either side of the flag out there, and they're indicating we got pretty good breeze blowing out toward left field. That could give a ball a push. 2 strikes to Loduca. Loduca generally tough to strike out, pretty good 2-strike hitter. Only struck out 8 times. He's at 126 official at bats. Curveball misses. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
John, let's take a look at Clippard. Now watch where he ends up on this pitch.
And a swing? No. First base umpire ruling in favor of Loduca. Chris Guccione says no swing. 2-2 the count. David Wright, the last couple of days, has hit 3 home runs, and the 3 times that he didn't hit a home run, they walked him intentionally. The changeup. Strike 3. The first base umpire Guccione said, yeah, that time you're gone.
The second baseman.
So David Wright is on a roll, and it starts here in the Subway Series, although he's been hitting very effectively for most of the month. And David Wright is, much as we've come to enjoy watching him, sometimes you forget just how young he still is, Joe. He's only 24 years old. They're going to walk Damion Easley here with first base empty and 2 down. And John Maine, the pitcher, up next. 2-0. And the Mets get the long ball here to score first as they go for the sweep tonight. David Wright's opposite field homer. Green doubled, but Loduca struck out. Now Easley being walked intentionally. All of this after Delgado was called out on strikes to start the inning. There's Joe Torre. And there's not a whole lot he can do early in this game, Joe. I mean, he's got to hope for some offense and to hope that his young pitcher can hold the line for a while. David Wright yesterday against Mike Myers hit a spectacular home run out toward the new ballpark. And then his next time up, this one off the glove of Johnny Damon and a home run. And David Wright, they walked him 3 times intentionally after that, and now a home run his first time up tonight as Maine fouls one, and the count is 0-1. Wright knocking in the first run of this game against Tyler Clippard. And he hit that one pretty solidly to the opposite field. And the curve outside. A ball and a strike to John Maine. He was an original draft choice of the Baltimore Orioles. And he was part of the trade with Baltimore that sent Chris Benson to Baltimore. The Mets got John Maine and also Jorge Julio. Julio eventually they traded on to Arizona last year. But John Maine, he's been a keeper, and he's also helped save that rotation. Pretty good rip there. 2-2. Green at second, Easley at first, both ready to go at the crack of the bat with 2 down. Just off the outside. Now it's a full count. And an outstanding hitter on deck, Jose Reyes. Reyes, who has been excellent in all situations this year, but even better with runners in scoring position. The runners go, and he walked it. And now Ron Guidry, the Yankee pitching coach, will go out to offer counsel to the young right-hander who's in all kinds of trouble now.
Well, this reminds me of something Mike Tyson said. Everybody's a star till you hit him one time. And he started off perfectly, and then he gave up the home run to David Wright, the double of Sean Green. And now you can see that there are some holes there in his pitching. He has not pitched as well from the stretch as he did from the windup.
So Guidry imparts his advice and heads back, and Sean Green takes up at third base. Damion Easley at second, and John Maine, the pitcher, with his warm-up jacket on at first. And the Let's Go Mets cheer rings through Shea Stadium. Here is Reyes. Change-up, and it's 0-1.
That shows a lot of confidence to be able to throw a changeup first pitch with the bases loaded. That tells you he's got a lot of confidence in his changeup.
So he has some weapons.
Yeah, he's definitely got some weapons, and he's got some toughness.
Jose Reyes struck out his first time. Off the outside. That's the first pitch that Reyes has seen tonight that wasn't a strike from Tyler Clippard. He struck him out on 3 pitches in the first. Reyes has only hit 2 homers, and he's the leadoff man, and yet he's got 23 RBIs. Now he's ahead of the count, 2-1. He has been very strong in the clutch. This will be the 28th pitch of this inning for Clippard, and he hangs it high.
Well, he tried to throw him another changeup. As I said, he's got a lot of confidence in it, but tough time to throw it there, 2-1 with the bases loaded. But that tells you he's got a lot of confidence in his ability to throw it for a strike. But now he has to give in with the fastball.
There's nowhere to put him. The bases are loaded. Pop fly. Matsui. And Clippard rides through the storm, and just the one run on the right homer scores. 3 left. Top of the Yankee order, Damon, Jeter, and Matsui coming up. Sunday night baseball from the big city of New York, and the Mets have a 1-0 lead over the Yankees. The Mets trying to sweep this 3-game series from their American League counterparts, and there is a ball high to leadoff man Johnny Damon. Damon popped to third his first time. He's another key man for the Yankees, the guy who ignites the lineup at the top of the order, and he has struggled. We saw him in Boston last month. He was having some back problems. He's had some calf problems here more recently. And John Maine with a changeup too low. 2 balls and a strike to Johnny Damon.
We talked about the fact that the Yankees have a good hitting lineup, but it doesn't look nearly as difficult to go through without Sheffield in there.
Broken bat, dropped by Easley, picks it back up. He got it. And there is one away. Gary Sheffield traded to the Tigers in the offseason. Jason Giambi, who created a lot of headlines to the USA Today in a story under the byline of Bob Nightingale, said I was wrong for doing that stuff when asked about the steroid controversy. He said what we should have done a long time ago was stand up, players, ownership, everybody, and said we made a mistake. And he had several other things to say as well. Here's Derek Jeter. And the slider. Jeter with a half swing, and it's 0-1. Brian Cashman, the Yankees general manager, I think took exception to the comment about everybody should have stood up and apologized a long time ago in regards to Giambi. Here's Brian Cashman, Senior Vice President and General Manager of the Yankees. Giambi not in the lineup tonight without the designated hitter, and he's been hurting as well. He's got a bone spur in his foot. Brian Cashman had this comment in regards to Giambi's comments.
At this point, the commissioner is going to look into it, and because of that, and rightfully so, he's going to look into it. You know, at this stage, we're not going to comment, other than to reinforce that at no time did anybody in, I would say, Major League Baseball clubs, at least including the Yankees, would have any knowledge of this stuff. I think the only people that need to apologize are the people that personally did steroids, and that's it.
And of course, it appears that Jason Giambi has publicly admitted to taking performance-enhancing substances with that quote in the USA Today article. Today in the New York Daily News, under the byline of Bill Madden and Terry Thompson, the Daily News reporting that according to baseball sources familiar with the situation who requested anonymity because of the sensitivity of the matters, the Yankees will revisit the possibility of terminating Giambi's deal if it is determined that he used illegal drugs after they signed him to a 7-year contract in 2001. And the commissioner's office is also investigating Giambi's comments to the newspaper. And Peter Gammons has talked to several people involved in this whole thing as well. Peter?
Well, this has become a firestorm. There's no doubt about it. The Yankees are looking into the possibility of finding out when Giambi supposedly used the stuff as a possibility for getting out of the contract. That's unlikely to happen, but the commissioner's office is dead serious about its investigation. The grand jury investigation in San Francisco of investigating the Galco case has been reopened. There's a lot going on here. All the parties, the player, the club, the commissioner's office, have all taken a vow of silence until he meets with the commissioner's office.
Jeter, fair ball down the left field line into the corner. Andy Chavez has to go in and dig it out, and Jeter is into second base with a double, his 10th double of the year.
The left fielder, Hideki Matsui.
Fastball that doesn't get inside. They're trying to go away, and it runs back in, and Jeter reacts to it very well. He didn't turn so much on it, just reacted to the ball inside, and that's why he's such a good hitter. He handles the ball in much better now than he did before.
So Jeter at second. The big hitters are coming up. Matsui at the plate. A-Rod on deck. Yankees down 1-0. So Peter, the commissioner's office wants to visit with Giambi face-to-face. Is that going to happen?
It will happen. There's no question about it, and you'll probably hear from George Mitchell as well. The question is going to be, I mean, the Yankees aren't going to be likely to be able to void the contract, but it could be that Bud Selig could say, well, you've admitted it in the best interest of baseball. You could be suspended for a certain period of time. I mean, the whole grand jury investigation in San Francisco will be reopened here in Giambi's case, even though he did testify with a promise of anonymity. So this is something that Jason's going to have to face. He's going to hear a great deal about this over the next 2 weeks.
I guess the problem I have is why this came up at this time and why Jason decided to say that, because I agree 100% with Brian Cashman that if people want to apologize for what they did, that's fine, and they should. But Cashman is basically saying, why should we apologize? We didn't do anything. In fact, they talked about it when they were signing Jason Giambi. That was one of the clauses they talked about putting in there, and it wasn't put in. So I don't know exactly who Jason wants to apologize. He says Major League Baseball, so I guess that includes a lot of people, a lot of teams.
Well, I have to say it's a matter of judgment. Jason didn't use great judgment. It goes back to the old adage. The great thing about racehorses is that they don't talk.
Well, like I said, I'm just surprised that it came out at this time when the Yankees are struggling. And, Jason, to a certain extent, is struggling a little bit as well. And the Yankees, I don't know if they need this at this point of the season. And they have not been playing well.
2-1 to Matsui with Jeter at second. Yankees down by a run. Maine the pitcher. And he changed speeds there. Got Matsui off balance. A foul out of play.
And I was starting to say, John, without Sheffield in this lineup, it is still a good lineup. We know that. But Sheffield, as people may say, well, he's not hitting that well over Detroit. Well, he's starting to. But with his presence in the lineup, it changes everything. Because even with Detroit, he was off to a slow start, but Nagler Ordonez was leading the league because he was on base a lot. He changes the dynamics of any lineup that he's in, and I think they're missing that now.
2-2 to Matsui. And ball through. Alex Rodriguez on deck. So I suppose, Peter, at this point, Jason Giambi would just like to see this whole thing just sort of die.
Well, I think that's what he's hoping, but I'm not sure it's going to happen. I don't think the commissioner's office is going to let this die, and I think it really could be a problem for him. I don't know whether it'll end up with a suspension, but I think it'll be a very serious distraction for him over the next couple of weeks, coming at a time when he's, 1 for 24.
He's in a bad slump, and he's got a bone spur in his foot. They've been trying to fit him with orthotics to help ease the pain that causes.
Well, forgetting what Jason's doing, the team is not doing well. That's the point, and you're adding to that.
Jason's adding to that.
Yeah.
3-2 the count. I'm not trying to burden the Yankees with anything.
No, it's a team game. I mean, even if he's struggling and he has something to say, okay, but it's just, the timing of it is not good for the Yankees, I don't believe. Or for Jason, for that matter.
There's Jeter at second, who always seems to stay clear of these kind of controversies. That's into right center field. Falling. Beltran can't handle it. Jeter had started back to second, and he'll get only as far as third as Matsui has a double. The wind is blowing out toward left field, and I don't know if that helped blow that ball back toward Beltran or not, but he almost made a spectacular catch.
Well, he jams Matsui a little bit. He doesn't hit this ball right on the nose. And you can see Beltran almost gets there, and he gets a glove on it, but it hits off the tip of his glove, and he's not able to make the play. Right off the tip of the glove. A little surprised that Jeter was going back to the bag, because with one out, you're not going to tag up anyway. it's a line drive. He takes off at third. Now he starts back. Now he starts back. And he gets caught in between. That's what he's saying. I couldn't tell whether he's going to catch it or not.
It's almost as if he feared that he was catching and he better get back to second and not get doubled up.
But if you dive for a ball, it's very rarely you're going to get up and be able to throw somebody out and get him back.
Well, here's Alex Rodriguez. The plight of the Yankees, well documented. But how about this? One of their fastest runners, Derek Jeter, one of their best base runners, is at second. Matsui hits a double, and Jeter doesn't score. They've gotten back-to-back doubles and don't have a run to show for it. Off the fists, and A-Rod with a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Alex Rodriguez with 40 runs batted in. And he is, or he was at the start of the day anyway, the American League leader in RBIs. But not many RBIs lately. He struck out his first time tonight. That is a foul ball. Jeter helping the umpire make the call there. Third base coach Larry Bowa alongside. Jeter makes the call. Yeah, foul ball now. Third base umpire looking on, Larry Vanover. I'm sure he appreciated Jeter's help on making that call. Jeter the possible tying run at third. Matsui the possible go-ahead run at second. 1 out. Oh, he chased one. Strike 3.
Well, he had pounded him inside so often that he goes away with a slider and Alex can't handle it. Well, you see they set up inside. They're pounding him inside. Everything is in, as you can see, off the plate, in, and then he goes away with a slider. That's excellent pitching there because everything was in, and A-Rod unconsciously starts to look in, throws him a slider away. Excellent pitching there by Maine. And excellent pitch calling by LaDuca.
Runners still at second and third, but now with 2 down, and here's Posada. Changeup is too low. Posada is red hot. Came into the game hitting .386. And the Yankees need a hit right here. Posada, interestingly enough, is hitting 100 points lower in these runners in scoring position at bats. Only .286. And a pop fly. Endy Chavez. And again, the Yankees do not score. 1-0 Mets. Chavez and then Beltran and Delgado. Wright due up fourth. Interleague play Sunday Night Baseball from Shea Stadium, New York. The New York Yankees, the New York Mets, and the Mets are leading 1-0. And they are showing Joe Morgan on the big jumbo screen here at Shea. As they're seemingly very happy to have the Hall of Famer visiting Shea Stadium tonight. There's ball 1 to Endy Chavez. Chavez hitting second in the order. Flight out to shallow left his first time against Tyler Clippard. Chavez hitting .383. And the changeup. 1 ball, 1 strike. Chavez, then Carlos Beltran and Carlos Delgado. Omar Minaya was the guy who liked Endy Chavez and his possibilities. A lot of other teams did not seem to care that much for him. He played for the Kansas City Royals, the Montreal Expos, played in Washington when the Expos moved to Washington, even played for the Phillies for a time. And last year ended up with the Mets. He bunts it, but off the screen, foul, off the mask rather of Posada, and it is 2-2. Omar Minaya was high on him, and Willie Randolph said the one thing that he said to Chavez was, you got a big swing like you're a home run hitter, but you're just a little guy. He says, go ahead maybe in the first pitch, take that big swing, but after that I want you to shorten up in the stroke, make contact. And he says that Chavez did not resist him. He worked hard at it with the hitting coach Rick Dowd, and he's become a very important player for the Mets. Made that Spectacular catch to rob Scott Rowland of a home run in Game 7 of the League Championship Series last year. Friday night in this series, he hit a 2-run homer after first showing bunt. And then Willie Randolph, with a runner aboard, said Andy Pettit may come back with a fastball down the middle here because he thinks he's bunting. So he took the bunt off, and Chavez, sure enough, hit a home run, and that was the game-winning hit. And here he draws a walk, and that was a pretty gritty at-bat by Chavez.
The center fielder.
There's Willie Randolph. I don't think Willie Randolph will ever get the credit that he deserves, because New York is, kind of belongs to the Yankees for so long. But, he's done a fabulous job here. And I think he's had a lot of help. Jerry Manuel, his bench coach, was a manager in the big leagues, and I think he really helped Willie when he first took over the Mets. And now I think they've got a perfect situation going. They make all the right moves all the time, it seems like.
And here is Beltran. That's the other part of Willie's lineup that he loves. They don't just sit and have to wait for the long ball. They have excellent speed.
That's Jerry Manuel, former big league manager. He's his bench coach. Good pitch.
Cano backhands it to Jeter to get the one.
There's a changeup, and he got Beltran out in front.
So one away, Beltran at first. The Mets, under Willie Randolph, who of course himself was a former Yankee and a former Yankee coach under Joe Torre. They've got 10 more wins than the Yankees right now. The last time that happened was 16 years ago, near the end of the 1991 season. They've got 10 more wins than the Yankees right now, just about 1/4 of the way through this season. And here is Carlos Delgado. Beltran is an excellent base stealer. He's at first now. Clippard curves him in the dirt for ball 1. The Mets stole 5 bases yesterday against Yankee pitching. And catcher Jorge Posada.
And Posada had a good effort in throwing runners out before that. They just showed what they're built around. They just run on anybody.
Mets have stolen 50 bases this year in their first 42 games. And they've only been caught 9 times. I know you always look at that. You're not interested just in the number of steals. You want to know what their success ratio was.
Well, Beltran has the highest percentage in the history of the game, 87 point something. He has been almost perfect as far as stealing bases.
1 ball, no strikes to Delgado. And the changeup in the dirt from Clippard. 2-0 the count.
At one point, he stole 45 consecutive bases. Vince Coleman has the Major League record of 50 in a row.
The Mets leading the National League in runs per game, batting average, hits, and steals. They lead the majors in steals. There's no other team even close to them in stolen bases. Beltran has 7 steals. Delgado, that is a foul ball. And Mitkevich was trying to turn that into a double play. Tagging the bag for the out on Delgado, and then going to throw to second for a tag play on Beltran, but it was foul.
Well, it hits fair, and then it just, like it hit something and jumped to the right from home plate, jumped right to the foul territory.
Fair or foul in baseball is not like out of bounds, say in the NBA. It's where the ball itself is, not where the player who touches it is. This could be 2. Cano runs Beltran back. They get 1 at first. Now they get the run down to Beltran, and he's tagged out by Mitkevich. And the inning is over. Nicely handled there by Cano. 1-0 Mets. Bobby Abreu, then Robinson Cano coming up. Shea Stadium, New York. Sunday Night Baseball, now in our 18th season. I'm Jon Miller with Joe Morgan and Peter Gammons. And the Mets lead the Yankees 1-0. John Maine delivers ball 1 to Bobby Abreu. The Yankees have had scoring chances in each of the last 2 innings. They had runners at first and second, nobody out in the second, and did not score. They got 1 out, back-to-back doubles in the third, and did not score. Not even back-to-back doubles got them a run. And they had second and third 1 out in that inning and didn't score. So here we are in the 4th, down 1-0. And Abreu trying to get something going against Maine. The fastball is too high. 3-0. Inevitably, when a team is struggling in New York, talk begins about whether or not especially if it's a Yankee team that's struggling, whether or not the manager is going to be fired or not. Here's ball 4 to Bobby Abreu. And Joe Torre, is it possible? Could he possibly be fired? He's had a lot of success here. They've been in the postseason 11 consecutive years since he took over. They won 4 World Series titles, although none since 2000. They, since then, have won 2 American League pennants. They've been to 2 more World Series, in other words. But since they beat the Red Sox in 2003, they have not won a playoff series. Here now is Robinson Cano. Although I think the graphic was actually not correct. In 2004, they won their division series so they could play the Red Sox again, only to have a 3-0 lead in that league championship series, and then they lost it, as Boston never lost another game the rest of that year, sweeping through the World Series after coming from behind to beat the Yankees.
Well, I think the one thing that I've noticed, about the Yankees is, some of their swagger is gone. I mean, a lot of times when you're a great team, you're already ahead when you start the ball game, so to speak, because you have a swagger, you have a confidence that the other team can see.
There goes Abreu, and Cano fouls it. Little hit-and-run action there for the Yankees, but it's 0-2 to Cano, and Abreu will have to go back to first.
And the Yankees need to get their swagger back. And I think one of the things they're hoping is, when Roger Clemens comes back, it'll help them to get their swagger back.
Well, what about Joe Torre? Is he, as the manager, supposed to help them find that swagger?
Well, I guarantee you he's trying to help them, find it. I mean, Joe has been able to push the right buttons in the past to win championships and to get them in the playoffs. I think it's more difficult now because the teams are more evenly matched than they were when Joe was winning those 4 out of 5 world championships. There are more teams that can win. I mean, look at what happened with Detroit last year. No one expected them to even be there, and all of a sudden they're there. I mean, the Cardinals, even though they didn't win that many ball games, were hot at the right time and won. So when you get to the playoffs, it is a little bit more difficult. I don't believe in the term that it's a crapshoot, but I do believe that it's more difficult now than ever before.
Abreu runs. David Wright throws out Cano.
And, right there was a little bad luck in that the whole left side was open, and the only guy there is where he hit the ball to. I mean, that's bad luck. He was trying to hit and run because Abreu had taken off, and the only one left on that side was David Wright, and that's where he hit the ball.
So a runner at second and 1 out. Doug Minkiewicz is the hitter now. And Peter Gammons. Joe Torre, is it possible that he really could be in trouble? Could he be in danger of losing his job?
Well, John, I don't think it's impossible. I mean, George Steinbrenner has said that he's going to wait until at the end of the Red Sox series this week to make any comment. But, I mean, there are some power. Randy Levine, the club president, who apparently is back in power, is no Joe Torre fan. Well, I mean, they have struggled. There's a lot of problems. Don Mattingly is very loyal to Joe Torre. Joe Girardi is very loyal to Joe Torre, and also was a teammate of a lot of the guys on this team, which would make his job a little bit more difficult. It's a very difficult thing to replace him. I actually think that they'll probably go through the end of next week when they finish up with a 3-game series in Boston the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of June. And then they'll sort of see where they are and reevaluate the situation. But there's no question there is some pressure coming from George Steinbrenner and from some other people in the organization to question Joe Torre, despite his resume of remarkable achievement.
2-0 the count to Minkiewicz, and now ball 3-0.
Well, last year at the end of the playoffs, when they were eliminated, there were a lot of people calling for Joe's head. But then my things I read, it said that Brian Cashman got him, a chance to stay.
And that's ball 4 to Minkiewicz. Another walk issued by John Maine. 2 walks in the inning. 2 men on, 1 man out. But now the pitcher, Tyler Clippard, comes up, and a a spot you normally in the National League would see the pitcher bunt even with one out to try to move the runners up. So Peter Gammons, did you think it was going to happen last year? Did you think Joe Torre might have been fired last year after they were dispatched by the Detroit Tigers?
No, George Steinbrenner reevaluated his situation. He was very upset on that Saturday night when they lost to the Tigers. And he changed his mind. He talked to Joe. He talked to Joe today as well. And you know, at least there's some conversation going back and forth and see where they are. I mean, it's very hard to have a lot of life when you're veteran players like Johnny Damon and Jason Giambi and Bobby Abreu have been hurt and aren't producing. That takes a little life. Plus, you're starting 11 rookies.
The pitch to Clippard, who had squared the bunt, was right at his chin. And he used the bat more as a shield than rather than trying to lay down a bunt, I think, on this one.
Well, they have so many. I'm sure he was force-fed a chance to try to bunt in the last day or so. And he gets it down.
Maine's only play is to first. Easily covering. Very nicely done. You know, pitchers, whether you're an American League team or a National League team in the minor leagues, they almost never bat. The only time that pitchers bat in minor league games is if two National League affiliates are playing each other.
Well, he does a great job of getting the barrel of the bat above the ball and then just plays catch. Much to see the barrel of the ball is above it. The barrel of the bat is above the ball. He just drops it down on the bat.
The Yankees looking for that elusive clutch hit. Johnny Damon will try and deliver. Change up at the knees. Strike one. Damon has popped to third, grounded to second. 1-0. The Mets on top here in the fourth. The Yankees for the third consecutive inning with two men on base. Another changeup is too low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Joe Torre, by the way, will visit with us from the Yankee dugout. After the Yankees have finished their at-bats in this inning. Derek Jeter on deck. Abreu at third, McCabe at second. That's a strike call on the outside. Guys ahead of Damon, 1-2. Johnny Damon hitting only .217 with runners in scoring position this year. And John Maine has been one of the toughest pitchers to hit in spots like this all year. Back to the screen. How about this one? All of the hitters that he has faced this year with runners in scoring position are hitting only .128 against him. So he's been outstanding in the clutch himself. The pitching version of a great clutch hitter. But the Yankees keep parrying with him. And Damon slashes it foul.
Well, a lot of times people might wonder why, if a guy's hitting .340, does he hit .250 with runners in scoring position? Well, the reason is they pitch it differently with runners on base than they would without anyone being on base. They will not give in to you and throw you a pitch down the middle normally with runners in scoring position. They will always try to make great pitches on the edges of the plate and change speeds more.
Fastball, a bloop. Green on the run. No! Base hit. 2 runs will score, and Damon ends up at second. And Johnny Damon bloops one in, and the Yankees finally get that big hit and take a 2-1 lead.
Well, it was a good pitch by John Maine. He jammed him. As we take a look on the nationwide K-zone, he jammed him, and it was hit right out there right between the outfielders. So he jams him. He gets the ball in on his hands. Sean Green can't get there. Beltran can't get there. And Damon has a double, and the Yankees lead 2-1.
And the 2 walks have turned into runs. Now Jeter to try and knock in another one. Fastball is too high. And John Maine has thrown a lot of pitches against this Yankee lineup already. The Yankees have hit 4 doubles against him in the first 4 innings of the game. Jeter hitting .485 this year with runners in scoring position.
Let's not forget the great job of the pitcher to get the ball down, to get the bunt down and move the extra runner into scoring position.
Some old-time fundamental baseball right there. Tyler Clippard helping himself offensively and on the mound. Left center, hit well, on its way, goodbye! It's a 4-run inning for the Yankees. Derek Jeter with his 3rd home run of the year.
And Bob Prince, the former announcer for the Pittsburgh Pirates, had a phrase, a bloop and a blast. And that's what they got there. Johnny Damon bloop one, and then the blast by Derek Jeter. And again, that ball ran in on him, and that's the pitch that he hit for a double the first time up. That one ran in on him, and he drives it out of the ballpark. I should say his second time up.
Hideki Matsui, 4 runs are in. 2 clutch hits after 2 were down in a row. The bloop, as you said, by Damon for 2 runs, and the blast by Jeter for 2 more. Jeter not been hitting the long ball. Only 3 homers for Jeter. And he usually is up around 20 home runs for a season.
Well, the point you made, though, is he's hitting 4+ with runners in scoring positions.
Almost
so
500.
You want him in those situations.
Jeter is now hitting a cool 500 with runners in scoring position for the year. 17 for 34 for the season. And the Yankee fans present for the Yankee cheer. Left field. And right at the edge of the track, Chavez. 4 runs in 60 seconds. We'll be back to chat with Joe Torre from the Yankee dugout. The Yankees ahead 4-1. Now as we go to the last of the 4th, and we welcome Yankee manager Joe Torre from the Yankee dugout. Thanks, Joe.
Hi, John.
How you doing, Joe?
Good.
Hey, man,
better now.
How frustrating is it when you have a vaunted lineup like you have, and you've been having trouble getting key hits, although yesterday you scored some runs as well?
Yeah, and we've been playing catch-up, Joe, and then the one thing when we left spring training was a given for me is that we were going to score runs, but our left-handers really haven't been handling left-hand pitchers that well, and I think that's been the difference.
What about this young kid getting that bunt down?
He hadn't had a bat in his hand till yesterday. I was pleased, especially the first pitch when he tried to get out of the way.
Well, he hasn't shown any fear out there either.
You know, these kids, we saw them in spring training. They really impressed us just with their presence, and I'm just glad he was able to wiggle off the hook there in the second inning.
All right, thanks, Joe, as usual.
Joe Torre, Yankee manager from the Yankee dugout. And here's Tyler Clippard, who gave up a home run to David Wright back in the second inning, and he curves him for a called strike here.
What Joe is basically talking about, John, is that the left-handed pitching has bothered his team, you know, a lot more than he thought it would this year so far.
Yankees have been very susceptible to left-handed pitching, and games started against them by lefties. They've won only 3 games and lost 9, and that was ruled a swing by first base umpire Chris Guccione. So it's 0-2 to David Wright.
And what he's talking about, Johnny Damon usually handles left-handers pretty well. Bobby Abreu usually does. Matsui does. And then you have the switch hitter.
Strike 3 called on the outside corner. Fastball at the knees. 1 away. We're going to go to the studio now for a Sports Center 30 and 30 update. And here's Steve with you.
Thank you, John. Number 2 in the world, Rafael Nadal, beaten by number 1 Roger Federer in Hamburg today. Nadal's 81-match winning streak on clay is over. Game 5, NHL Western Conference Finals. Teemu Selanne scored 11:57 in overtime. Ducks beat Detroit 2-1. They take a 3-2 series lead. Game 6 Thursday on the Pond. Sports Center follows this game. ESPN News is always on.
Thanks, Steve. And here is Sean Green, who doubled his first time. Tyler Clippard. Yankees have had some young pitchers who have given them a lift at times this year. One very notable was Philip Hughes. That fastball called a strike to the outside, 2-1 to Green, and he thought maybe it was a little bit too low. He says something to Randazzo. But in his second start, in the midst of pitching a no-hitter, he pulled a hamstring muscle, had to leave the game, and he's on the disabled list now. fouled off the catcher, Posada. 2-2 the count. They also have a young pitcher, Matt DeSalvo, who's pitched well a couple of times now. Looks like he'll be in the rotation for the time being. So they've had some guys who've risen to the occasion. We saw the young guy Chase Wright at Fenway Park. That was his second start. He pitched well in the first one, well enough to win.
Well, Andy Pettit has pitched well enough to win several ball games too, John. Again,
among the veteran pitchers.
Yeah, when I look at this, I still think it's the consistency of the offense that has hurt them as much as the lack of starting pitching. They've had a combination of both.
2-2 the count to Green. Fastball to second. Cano. And that is out number 2. 2 down. Boys and Girls Clubs of America is the official charity of Major League Baseball. Together, they create a positive place for kids. And we have a lot of kids here tonight to catch the Yankees and Mets interleague action. Two down. Paul Lo comes up. I think everybody in New York seems to like the interleague Subway Series every year, except maybe the managers, because it's such a disruption from the normal schedule.
I would think it would be interesting. I wish when I played they had interleague play, which would break up, the season and so forth and so on.
That is pulled foul by Lo.
Because I would think you'd get a shot of adrenaline playing the Mets and the Yankees playing each other, or the Giants and the A's, or the teams that are close.
Angels and Dodgers.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, but the managers probably think it's, as you say, is a distraction because they have to answer so many questions and do so many interviews.
Well, it feels like a World Series,
right? Well,
whenever they meet, it's so huge. 2-1 the count. The other thing is, the Yankees are in a stretch right now. Maybe a make-or-break stretch. They played the White Sox in Chicago. Now this series against maybe the best team in the National League, and Lo. got a single to center. His first hit against Clippard, the third hit of the game for the Mets. But when they leave here after tonight and go back home to Yankee Stadium and play the Red Sox next. And next weekend they'll play the Angels.
So they've got a tough stretch. You're right.
They're playing 4 of the toughest teams in both leagues in this 12-game stretch. And they've lost 4 out of 5 to start this stretch. They lost 2 out of 3 in Chicago to the White Sox, and they've lost the first 2 this weekend.
Well, the way the Red Sox are playing, they're going to have to do something in that 3-game series to derail them.
Easily badly fooled by Tyler Clippard.
And going in, a win tonight would go a long way in trying to help them prepare for that. But the Mets are playing so well, over the last few weeks that it's just, they're really showing that they are, the class of the National League.
Playing the Mets is no way to get well.
No.
For any team. Not right now. 0-1 to Easley. And that's a hanging slider. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rivalry Week is presented by Bank of America. Yankees lead the regular season Subway Series all time. Last season they ended up even in their 6 games. First game ever played between the Yankees and Mets in regular season play 10 years ago. Dave Malicki of the Mets got the win. Check swing, the ball just off the inside. 2 balls and a strike now to Damion Easley, the pitcher. John Maine on deck. The Yankees lead 4-1. By the way, when the Red Sox come to Yankee Stadium tomorrow night, the Yankees will be poised with their 3 best starting pitchers, veterans. Chin-Ming Wong tomorrow night, Mike Messina Tuesday, Andy Pettit Wednesday. No rookies, no major league debuts. Floats that one through there. Strike 2 call.
Let's take a look at the nationwide K zone. Watch, he falls off to the third base side on this changeup. He never falls off to the first base side on his changeup, but he will throw a fastball from this position. So it's kind of interesting. I wonder how he decides where his finish is going to be.
Fell off to the third base side again there.
But that's another changeup. He always does it with the changeup, but he will also throw a fastball from that side. and he throws a curveball and a fastball when he falls up to the first base side.
So you don't think that's something that a hitter would notice?
Well, but it's not a telltale sign. I mean, he can throw the changeup and the fastball from that side. It'd be different if he only threw the changeup from that side, but he does throw a fastball when he steps over toward third sometimes.
Loduca, the runner from first, takes off, and he curves in, strike 3. 4 strong innings from Tyler Clippard in his major league debut. Willie Randolph will visit with us from the Mets dugout in 60 seconds. Back with Willie Randolph after this. Olivia. The Subway Series, Shea Stadium, New York. The Yankees leading the Mets 4-1 as we head to the 5th inning. And we welcome Willie Randolph, the manager of the Mets. Willie, many thanks for coming on.
You mean Dr. Willow there? Hey, Willie, you guys have been swinging the bat so well. This young kid, does it hurt that you haven't seen him before?
Well, for some reason nowadays, I always say the guys trip a little bit by guys you haven't seen, and maybe give him a little too much credit. He's doing the ball pretty well, though, but sometimes that makes a difference, when you're not doing what the guy's featuring.
Well, you started Loduca there. Are you trying to just make something happen there?
Last inning?
Yeah, last inning.
No, I didn't really start him there.
He just took off.
Yeah, he took off. Yeah, we got to get something going, and we do.
All right, Willie, we'll talk to you a little later.
All right, buddy. Take it easy. All right.
Willie Randolph, the manager of the Mets, and even though he lost a huge part of his starting rotation to injury during the season last year, the Mets ended up by far with the best record in the National League and got to Game 7 of the League Championship Series before the Cardinals finally beat them once and for all to end the Mets season. Alex Rodriguez with a high pop fly. Beltran in shallow right center. And A-Rod is 0 for 3.
Well, one thing he said there that I think is important here, John. He said a lot of hitters today trip on the fact that they haven't seen pitchers before. What he's saying is, they have these little videos and DVDs that they can watch a pitcher and see what he threw to him last time, etc., and they can get prepared for it. But what he's saying is if they haven't seen him before, they're not willing, in a way, to go up and just be fundamentally sound, see the ball, hit the ball, so to speak. They want to be able to look for something. So I found that interesting that, he notices that, some of the guys do have a problem when they haven't seen a pitcher before.
Now, this is the 3rd straight week on Sunday Night Baseball that we've seen a pitcher make his major league debut, which I don't think we've ever experienced before on Sunday night in 18 years. Here's ball 1. But Clippard has been the most impressive in terms of the way he's handled it. Last year, Virgil Vasquez. That ball is crushed. That's hit a mile by Posada. Wow. 3rd deck. A tape measure home run by Jorge Posada. His 6th home run, and it is 5-1 Yankees.
Well, you mentioned that he has been on fire swinging the bat well. He threw him a changeup or something off speed, and he hit it into the 3rd deck up there. Let's take a look at the pitch. Changeup, and it's pretty much right there, and he pulls it. He wasn't fooled by this pitch at all. Great extension and pulls it right down the line.
So the Yankees are roughing up John Maine. This was a blast. And a called strike to Bobby Abreu. 1 ball, 1 strike. Scott Schoeneweis up in the Mets bullpen, a left-hander now.
Sometimes, you can get your team started. One little thing can happen. We've always noticed it with a player. Player struggling, he can get a blue base hit or even a bunt single, and all of a sudden he's off to the races. Well, the Yankees got a blue base hit there, double from Johnny Damon to get it started, and they've scored 5 runs since that time.
Abreu to center field. Beltran going back. It's 410 to the wall at straightaway center, and Abreu is retired for the first time. He started that 4th inning rally with a walk. Jorge Posada continues to be sensational this year. Tonight, he's walked, flied out, and now a long home run. Posada came into the game leading the American League with a .386 batting average. Only Derek Lee of the Cubs with a higher batting average in either league. Robinson Cano is grounded out twice, pulls a foul, and it is 0-1. So John Maine, he had not been roughed up like this very often this year. Came into this game with a 2.15 earned run average. He had only allowed 3 home runs in his first 53-plus innings this year until Jeter took him deep in the 4th. Now Posada goes deep here in the 5th. And there's Tyler Clippard, who's held up his end. He's allowed the Mets only 1 run and 3 hits in the first 4 innings, and played a role in that 4-run rally, getting a bunt down. As Jory told you, hadn't even handled a bat all year. They gave him a bat yesterday. One ball, 2 strikes to Cano. And a foul back out of play.
It appears to me that John Maine still has good stuff. I mean, he did not make a mistake to Johnny Damon. It was a little bloop. The only mistake he made was giving Jeter a pitch to hit, and Jeter drove it out of the ballpark and then Posada, but Damon's hit came with 2 outs.
Past the mound. Reyes, can he get it? Safe! Beautiful effort by Jose Reyes.
And you may get a lot of right-handed hitters on that, but you're not going to get many left-handers who can run, because Cano is already on the left side and gets out of the box pretty well here. Watch Cano. So he gets out of the box well. If this is right-handed hitter, he gets up and throws him out because he made it a close play at first base with Cano. I mean, he gets up so quickly and gets rid of the ball so quickly. He made it a close play, but the speed of Cano allows him to beat it out for a base hit.
Gold glove caliber play there. Cano back to the bag. John Maine has pitched 4 2/3 innings in this game, but has thrown 105 pitches. And that's what we were seeing regularly from the Yankees back in April. Pitchers just had to grind their way through this very deep, very experienced lineup, and it takes its toll. But the Yankees have not had much success with that lineup lately. 1 ball and no strikes to Minkiewicz, who has struck out and walked. Yankees have 5 runs and 8 hits. We're in the 5th inning. Cano running. Loduca's throw, and he's out. Reyes with the tag. Nicely done by Loduca. And we head to the last of the 5th inning. Maine to lead it off. And it is 5-1 Yankees. The Subway Series from Shea Stadium, New York. The Mets trying to sweep the Yankees, but the Yankees lead this one 5-1 as we go to the last of the 5th inning. The Yankees ahead back of the rookie. It's hard to be more of a raw rookie than Tyler Clippard, who's making his major league debut. And there's David Newhand as a pinch hitter for John Maine. So Maine's night is over. Tyler Clippard goes a fastball inside for ball 1. Clippard, the 5th Yankee pitcher to make his major league debut as a starting pitcher this year, along with Phil Hughes, Matt DeSalvo, Chase Wright, and Kei Igawa. Igawa, the Japanese import. And a foul out of play. The Yankees have never had 5 pitchers make their debut as a starter in any season in team history, whether in the first 42 games or the whole season. They've never had 5 pitchers make their debut as a starter in any full season in their history until now. And that's a ball down and in. 2-1. Clippard is the 7th rookie pitcher they've used altogether, the 5th in his major league debut. And it's the 20th game out of their first 42 started by a rookie. That is Cano covering up, and he throws out Newhand. 1 away.
So I've never seen anyone have such a difference in their delivery follow through. Now let's take a look here. This is pretty much a changeup. He falls off to the third base side. Look where he ends up. Now let's take a look at another pitch. This is a breaking ball, I think. Now, look, he falls off to the first base side. I've never seen anyone do that because, as I said, they're usually trying to get a guy in a groove to throw the pitch. Now, there is a difference when he steps off to the one side as the other. For instance, when he steps off to the right side or the third base side, he's thrown a two-seam fastball, a sinking fastball kind of, and a changeup. When he falls off to the first base side, he throws a straight fastball, the riding fastball, and the curveball. Kind of interesting. See, there's a changeup. He fell off to the third base side. But I've never seen anyone have that bigger difference in their follow-through. But whatever he's doing is working.
It's working to Reyes, who's 0 for 2. And it looks like he's about to be 0 for 3. Reyes, one of the most dynamic, exciting players in the National League, shut down by the rookie Tyler Clippard.
And there are a lot of guys who are bothered, when they haven't seen a pitcher before and do not know exactly what to expect.
Scott Schoeneweis warming up in the Mets bullpen, getting ready, it appears, for the 6th inning.
But when you're facing someone you haven't faced before, you really have to go back to fundamentals of seeing the ball and being aggressive. And I really believe that he's done such a good job of throwing strikes, getting ahead, and keeping these guys off balance that they're not as aggressive as they usually would be under the circumstances. You're more aggressive when you know what to expect.
Fastball to the inside for a strike. You see, you're looking at what he's doing out there, and that's what you did as a hitter. I'm watching where that pitch is going, and whether it's inside, outside, curveball, changeup, whatever. So you pointed it out. I didn't know anything about it at all.
Yeah, but if you're a hitter, you're always looking for little things, to tip the pitch off or whatever. And, he does tip his pitches, but sometimes it's a little too late because you do not know which way he's going with it.
Pitch is there before he decides which way to fall off. Backhanded by Cano. Robinson Cano handles 3 ground balls flawlessly in the 5th inning. Tyler Clippard, 5 3-hit innings in his Major League debut in this game. And there is Scott Schoeneweis in for the Mets bullpen in relief of John Maine. And you see that earned run average. And it's been horrible in this homestand. In 3 games, he's allowed 11 runs in 3 innings. And he got roughed up in the 8th inning yesterday. Randolph brought him in to protect an 8-3 lead. That's when the Yankees started to get back into the game. So he's trying to work out his problems here. 5-1, the Yankees on top. Minkiewicz drew one of the walks in the 4th inning against Maine that contributed to the 4-run rally that put the Yankees ahead. And a foul. And Joe, you pointed out, sometimes just good fortune can turn everything in your favor. The Yankees were not able to get that big hit in the first 3 innings, and finally Damon, all he did was pop one up, but it fell in when nobody could catch it, and 2 runs scored. It came with 2 down. Another night might have been the 3rd out with nobody scoring again. And back out of play.
I talked earlier about the Yankees, maybe not having the swagger that they normally have. Well, it's hard to have a swagger when you're losing. That's the key. It's hard to maintain that confidence level when you're losing. But they can get on a winning streak and make this division, a lot tighter. But I think it's imperative that they play well tonight and then play well against the Red Sox.
Minkiewicz struck out on that slider by Scott Schoeneweis. The Mets scored first as we check out game track. David Wright, opposite field homer in the 2nd against Tyler Clippard. But then Damon hit that pop fly we were talking about. And Sean Green, not quite. 2 runs scored, and then Jeter followed it up with a blast into the bleachers in left center, and it was a 4-run inning, just like that. And here is Tyler Clippard taking a called strike. He got 1 more run in the 5th inning on Jorge Posada's 3rd deck home run. Booming shot down the right field line. And he's have 6 extra base hits in this game, 4 doubles and 2 home runs. Ball and a strike now to Clippard, who also helped his own cause in that 4th inning when he got down a bunt. Set up the 2-run scoring on Damon's subsequent pop fly. 1-2 to Tyler Clippard. That's Posada on the left, Jeter on the right. The other 2 Yankees who have been producing. You're talking about the Yankees' offensive woes lately. You can't include them. And that slider is low. Tyler Clippard, the hitter, born in Lexington, Kentucky, but he lives in Trinity, Florida. He went to J.W. Mitchell High School in Florida. He was out of high school that the Yankees drafted him. He's only 22 years old. The Yankee bullpen, meanwhile, will be ready just in case things start to go south.
Well, that's Andy Pettitte. I think he's just loosening up probably for his next start.
Andy Pettitte, who waited until during the game to get his work in case they needed him, as they did last month on Sunday Night Baseball. He came in and gave them an inning at Fenway Park on a night a rookie started. Looks like they figure they don't need him tonight, so he's getting his work in now. Although Clippard hasn't gone back out there yet for the last of the 6th, he could run into some trouble.
Well, if he gets in trouble, but he would not hit if he wasn't going back out there.
Yeah, he's definitely going out there, but he hits that ball hard. Beltran will have to chase it. This 22-year-old can do everything. In his major league debut, he's taken care of just about everything. Got his major league strikeout for the first hitter he ever faced.
And you can see Jorge Posada pointing, get that baseball, because, you know, that's his first major league hit. And most major league players do have their first base hit.
Could take a while for a pitcher in the American League to get that first base hit, though.
Well, a little difference swinging at Schoeneweis' fastball as compared to John Maine's.
So now Johnny Damon to try and bring Clippard home. Wants to help Clippard score his first major league run. So they got the baseball for him as a souvenir. If he scores a run here, what do they give him, home plate? Damon is 1 for 3 with 2 runs batted in. And it's a strike from Schoeneweis. Jeter and Posada leading the cheers from the dugout. And Clippard hit that double. He gets his lead from second. And the breaking ball over the outside. 1-2. So a young player is energizing the Yankees tonight. And a foul out of play off to the left. 1-2.
You can see Johnny Damon is struggling to get to the inside pitch. I mean, I'm not sure, you know, he's been injured, so I'm not sure he's able to get the bat through the zone like he did before. But it worked for him last time. He hit it on, he got jammed and got a base hit. See, they immediately go back inside because LaDuca could see that he's not getting the barrel of the bat to the ball as well.
2-2 the count. 1 out. Runner at second. And he struck him out with a slider.
That was a good pitching there. He threw him fastballs in a couple of times, got him looking in, and then went back away with the breaking ball. His second strike of this at bat was a breaking ball as well, and he chased it. But then they fired him up inside. And take a look on the nationwide K-zone. Well off the plate, but he got him to chase it.
Now they're going to walk Jeter intentionally.
This makes sense. You've got Matsui on deck, and as we mentioned, they have his left-handers they have struggled a little bit against left-handed pitching.
So Matsui, who as you mentioned in the past, has hit the lefties pretty well.
Yeah, his approach allows him to handle left-handed pitching because he doesn't try to do too much with it. He'll go the other way.
But he's only hitting .209 against the lefties this year. He came into the game hitting .333 against right-handers, and in fact had 2 doubles against John Maine in this game. But hitting only .209 against the lefties. Bobby Abreu hitting only .231 against the lefties.
The left fielder, Hideki Matsui.
We got a few guys who have struggled big. Even Alex Rodriguez only hitting .245 against left-handed pitching, which is sort of counterintuitive.
Yeah, well, you know what happens sometimes, John, is that one year you'll hit left-handers better than you do right-handers, another year it's vice versa.
So early on this year, this is Matsui's bad year against the lefties.
Well, that's why what Joe is saying, that they were struggling. His left-handed hitters have struggled against left-handed pitching so far. But it's a long season, and that could turn around.
Matsui, in his major league career since coming to the Yankees, you see they're only 3-9 when lefties have started against him. His batting average against left-handed pitching, exactly the same as his batting average against right-handed pitching. .297 either way. And that one is caught by Chavez. So it goes for Matsui right now against the lefties. 2 men stranded. The big hitters, Beltran, Delgado, and Wright coming up for the Mets. Times Square in New York. And the baseball world centered on Shea Stadium, at least the New York baseball world, all weekend. And the Yankees trying to get things turned around here, and they lead 5-1. And the young right-hander has led them so far tonight. Tyler Clippard, in his major league debut, he's pitched 5 strong innings against the Mets, who have been one of the best hitting teams in baseball this year. They have the highest team average. They have scored more runs than all but 2 teams in the American League, and yet he has shut them down through 5 innings. Got a 5-1 lead. Big hitters coming up. Beltran, Delgado, and Wright. Which current Major League manager had the most career hits as a Major League player? As we take a look at our Excedrin trivia question. Current Major League manager had the most hits in his career as a player. Buddy Bell, Lou Piniella, Willie Randolph, and Joe Torre.
That's a tough one.
They all got a lot of hits.
Yeah, they all have a lot of hits.
Excellent hitters. I think it's not Piniella.
I would say Torre because, you know, Torre played longer as a regular. He was a catcher for a long period of time. Then he played third base.
Although Randolph was a regular.
Yeah.
Beltran, left center, deep. The wind pushing it. And Johnny Damon. This time he squeezes it. Yesterday, a right hit went to him right at the wall in center field, and it hit the heel of his glove and bounced over the wall. Beltran is out
First baseman, Carlos Delgado.
Well, you see, he got a good beat on this one. He looks to find the wall. He knows he has plenty of room, and he makes this catch pretty easily. The one thing about Clippard, he started this ball game showing a lot of confidence, and hasn't changed. I mean, he's just throwing strikes, and he's been keeping these hitters off balance. Again, I don't think they're as aggressive now as they were, you know, yesterday or in the past. And the reason for that is because he's been able to keep them off balance early.
Delgado taking ball 1. Now, by the way, Joey, Buddy Bell was on that list too. Now, he was an excellent hitter.
Yeah, I'm going to say Joe Torre.
I broadcast Buddy Bell's games when he came to Texas. And he had 200 hits his first year in Texas.
Joe Torre had 200+ hits. He won a batting championship once. I'm just going to say Joe. But
okay, so Joe Torre.
Yeah.
All right. It sounds like it would be Torre or Randolph since they're the 2 managers in this game, right? This kind of like a hint.
It's not my quiz.
But Buddy Bell's team, Kansas City, won today in Colorado.
Then you can see right there, you know, it's a little bit out of sync. You know, Delgado's been struggling a little bit anyway, but you can see he's a little bit out of sync. I still think that he's recovering from the wrist surgery he had in the offseason. His wrist is still bothering him. He's not 100% healthy yet.
1-2 the count. Now Delgado asks for timeout. He is struck out and grounded into a double play against Tyler Clippard. David Wright on deck. Inside. Now, Joe, you are correct. Joe Torre had more hits than Willie Randolph.
Oh, but maybe not more than Buddy Bell. That's what you're saying?
He had nearly 200 fewer hits than did Buddy Bell. 2,500 hits. And that is strike 3 call.
And you can see again, Clippard is keeping them off balance. He's been able to throw the fastball in on Delgado several times in this ball game, and that's tying Delgado up. And again, that's one of the reasons I also believe that his wrist is bothering a little bit. Curveball away. Curveball for a strike. High fastball, you can see another fastball in. He comes back inside with another fastball, and Delgado takes it.
Scott Proctor, the right-hander, joins Andy Pettit, the left-hander, in the Yankee bullpen. But so far, nobody has been needed to come to the aid of Tyler Clippard. Last of the 6, 2 down. Here's David Wright, who's knocked in the Mets' only run with a home run in the 2nd inning. That gave the Mets a 1-0 lead at that time. Log on to ESPN.com and search Excedrin for additional trivia questions. Buddy Bell, the most hits of any current Major League manager while he was a player. Damon in front of Abreu. That's 1 hit allowed now to the last 17 batters. Versus Tyler Clippard. He's given the Yankees 6 strong innings. Alex Rodriguez coming up for New York. Back at Shea Stadium, that's Chien-Ming Wong in the foreground there. He'll be pitching tomorrow night against the Yankees. But tonight, Tyler Clippard, who's in the background on the other side of Johnny Damon. And he has just been superb. And the longer the game has gone, the better he seems to have gotten. He's allowed only 1 hit to the last 17 batters faced. Ambiorix Burgos in to pitch now for the Mets. The former Kansas City Royal right-hander, a real hard thrower. 94-mile-an-hour fastball inside to Alex Rodriguez. A-Rod 0 for 3 tonight. 2 strikeouts and a pop fly to shallow right center. Fastball away, and it's 2-0. Jorge Posada, red hot, is on deck. And then Bobby Abreu due up 3rd. Burgos started the year with the Mets. Then they optioned into their AAA team, New Orleans, in early May. He spent 10 days down there. And they brought him back 5 days ago. Fastball for a strike at the knees. Right-handed hitters have 3 hits in 35 at-bats against him so far this year. So he has been real tough against the right-handers. He was a closer last year for much of the season for Kansas City. A-Rod crushes one. Forget about it. What a shot. So maybe A-Rod is turning it around. His 2nd home run in the last 2 days after having hit only 1 in 82 at-bats before that. That's his 17th of the year. 6-1 Yankees.
And home run hitters do hit home runs in bunches, and then they will cool off for a while, and then they'll get hot again. It's a low fastball, and I mean, he puts a charge in it. And he didn't overswing, just nice extension and good rhythm on that swing.
Now Jorge Posada, high and tight for ball 1. Posada, who has walked, flied to shallow left, and hit a long home run to right. The Yankees are busting loose here tonight. 3 homers and 5 doubles. 8 extra base hits, only 2 singles out of their 10 total hits. And a slider for a strike to Posada. Strike. And on the run, Beltran, he gets there. Out number 1. The Yankees, after signing Roger Clemens, he made his first start, sort of his extended spring training. He started for the Tampa Yankees in the Florida State League. And he threw 58 pitches in that game, left to a standing ovation from a crowd of more than 10,000 at Veterans Field. And as you saw, George Steinbrenner was one of those in attendance.
And in Rogers' case, what he's really trying to do is make sure he has location. He knows his stuff is there. He's just trying to make sure that he can locate all of his pitches, and then he'll be ready to start.
And well, he needs to build up his stamina a little bit, though, right?
Well, I think Rogers stays in pretty good shape. He's been running. He's been working out.
Can he throw 100 pitches?
Well, they said they thought he could. He was going to throw 100 because he threw 60-something in the game. Then he's going to throw the rest of them on the side to get up to 100.
But he threw 58 in the game.
Yeah, and he's going to get to 100 on the side.
So you think he's supposed to start again in Double-A on Wednesday? That it's possible he could be in the big leagues after that start, 5 days after?
Well, I'm not sure. I thought they wanted him to have 3 starts in the minor leagues, is what I read.
That was the original plan.
Yeah.
But that was before they were 11 games behind the Red Sox. A little bloop by Abreu along the left field line and foul.
Well, you can't panic this early in the year. It's still a long ways to go, John. Yeah, but at
I
some
sense
point,
some panic among Yankee fans, though.
Yeah, but at some point, you do have to look up and wonder what's going to happen with this team if they were to fall 15 games behind the Red Sox or something like that in the middle of July. But there's still a long way to go, and they trailed Boston by 9 games a couple of years ago and were able to go back and catch them. But, we'll just have to wait and see. They're going to have to play well for a long stretch if they're going to make up any ground, because the Red Sox I don't think they're going to fall back to them. And the Mets, on the other hand, everything's going, in their favor right now.
1-2 the count to Abreu, who's had a single and a walk. He's lined out to center. 1 ball, 2 strikes the count. 1 out, nobody out. So the point being that if he's making 3 full starts down there, maybe there'll be 15 back before he ever gets to the big leagues. And then how much good could he do them if they're already 15 out? 2-2 the count to Bobby Abreu. 6-1, the Yankees ahead here in the 7th inning. Alex Rodriguez hitting a home run to start the inning. He's been struggling lately, although overall having an outstanding year. But Abreu has been another story entirely. He has been struggling most of the season. 2-2 the count to Abreu. So Roger Clemens, it'll be interesting to see when he gets back, when he's pronounced fit. I guess he's going to have to tell him, I'm ready to go now, or I need another start down there. That one is hit hard by Abreu. And Green will have to play it off the wall. Abreu on base for the 3rd time. That's a double. One of very few extra base hits he's had this year. There's another aspect to Clemens. It's not about what he can do right now, when he's going to be ready to come back to the big leagues, but his contract, which allows him to leave the ball club when he's not starting a game. And Kyle Farnsworth on a radio show in Chicago this week said he thought it might cause some friction. Granted, this is going to be his 23rd or 24th year, and he can get the opportunity to do that, but still, I think if you're going to be a part of a team, you should be there always. Meanwhile, the Mets have made a pitching change as Burgos retires. With a runner at second and 1 out, Robinson Cano, a left-handed hitter coming up, and Pedro Feliciano, a left-hander coming in. We'll be right back. There is Pedro Feliciano in from the Mets bullpen with a run in, 1 out, and a runner at second. 6-1, the Yankees leading the Mets, and Feliciano, who's been an excellent specialist for the Mets this year, to face the left-handed batting Robinson Cano, another lefty, Doug Minkiewicz right behind him. And he made Cano look bad on that one. Cano is 1 for 3 in the game. We were talking about Kyle Farnsworth's comments that created a stir here in New York, and Peter Gammons is downstairs. Here's the 1 strike pitch now to Cano with Abreu over at second. And the slider is strike 2 swinging. And Peter, Kyle Farnsworth seemed to think it was not good. So is the Yankee clubhouse up in arms? Is this a point of contention? Is everybody upset that Roger Clemens can go off between starts away from the club?
Not at all. I mean, first of all, Derek Jeter said, you know what, we're talking about something that hasn't even cropped up yet. But, you know, and the other players sort of, well, Kyle Farnsworth is not a significant member of this team.
There's the second baseman. And Easley throws out Cano with Abreu taking third. Go ahead, Peter.
Joe Torre did talk to all the veteran players and asked them what they thought about it. They had no problem with it. And as Jeter said to me, the one thing, Roger always wants to be a very good teammate. If there are some problems, you can be sure that Joe and Derek will talk to Roger. Roger will be very sensitive about it. I mean, this kind of came out of the blue, the Farnsworth thing, for someone who's actually never played with Roger Clemens and doesn't know him.
Well, first of all, you know, I know Roger pretty well, and he's a stand-up guy, and he's not going to do anything to hurt the team. If it's not the right time for him to leave the team, I don't believe he will. So, I mean, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But one other thing I'd like to say, though, Farnsworth, you know, made his comments, but, I mean, being honest with you, I think he has a right to say what he wants to say. I mean, you're part of the team, and he is a part of the team. He's not a significant part as Jeter and the guys that Torre talked to. But if he wants to make a comment, he has that right, in my opinion. And I would say that there are other guys on that team that might want to say something they haven't, and rightfully so. They shouldn't. And that's the point that Jeter was making. They shouldn't say anything until something happens, and it hasn't happened. And like I said, I know Roger well, and he's not going to do anything that's going to hurt his teammates. I mean, he's coming here to help them win, and Roger will do what he's supposed to do to help them win.
2 strikes to Minkiewicz, and that hit him. Oh, wait a minute. The plate umpire is not going to allow him to go to first. Tony Randazzo is not going to allow it.
Well, Randazzo said he put his knee in. He leaned in, is what he's saying. Said he put his right knee in to get hit. The rules say you have to make an attempt to get out of the way. Now let's see what he does with his right knee. Well, I think he got hit. I mean, he turned, but most hitters turn when the ball is coming towards them. If it's at their shoulder, they'll turn their inside, turn inside to get hit in the back rather than get hit on the hands or the arm. And that's what Larry Bowa is saying. He said guys turn all the time to get, keep from getting hit on the hands or the arm.
So Minkiewicz is on the ground. He's hurting. One of the Yankee trainers is out tending to him. Looking at that replay, though, it just looked like he was not going to be able. The ball almost came in behind him.
Well, the point is he turned in, and I think that's what Randazzo saw. He thought he turned into the ball, but he turned so it wouldn't hit him in the front of the knee. And watch, he'll turn his right leg. He strides, and he turns. And I would just say that's hit by the pitch, but, Randazzo saw him turn his knee in, and he thought he was leaning over to get hit.
Well, here's what Tony Randazzo, who's wearing a microphone, said immediately.
Turn! Stay here! No! You're in the box! That's a ball. No.
Well, LaDuca was the first one to say something. LaDuca said something as Randazzo was making his call. They both saw it together.
So it was just a ball, and when it hit him, it was a dead ball, so he was not allowed first base. You rarely see that call. You see guys who just stand there and get hit.
Right.
Some guys wear armor and look like they're attempting to get hit, and it doesn't get called. 3-2 the count. I remember when Don Drysdale back in the 60s had his consecutive innings scoreless streak. He hit a batter with the Giants with the bases loaded, and the umpire said no, he didn't try to get out of the way, didn't allow it, and Drysdale's eventually got him out, and the consecutive innings scoreless streak moved on.
You see, I remember that trivia question. That was Dick Dietz.
Dick Dietz got a hit,
Giants.
and they didn't allow him to take his base. They didn't allow the run to score. 3-2 the count. And I think this is the first time that that's ever been called since then, Joe. You know, occasionally you do, every once in a while an umpire calls it. And the rule book is pretty clear. If you don't try to get out of the way, you're not supposed to be allowed to take first base. 3-2 the guy. Give him credit for thinking about it and making the call. Although I'm not sure it was the right call. 3-2 the count. And Papa. David Wright will let Loduca handle it. The Yankees lead 6-1 as Tyler Clippard will head back out. Mr. Met here in the 7th-inning stretch. Yankees lead the Mets 6-1. And we're going to go now to the studio for a SportsCenter 30 at 30 update. Here's Steve Berthiaume.
Spurs beat the Jazz in Game 1 of the NBA Western Conference Finals today. 27 points, 10 boards for Tim Duncan. Game 2 is Tuesday in San Antonio, where Utah has now lost 17 straight games. And number 2 in the world, Rafael Nadal, beaten by number 1, Roger Federer, in Hamburg today. A 3-set win for Federer, who snaps Nadal's 81-match winning streak on clay. SportsCenter follows the Yankees and Mets. ESPN News is on right now.
Steve, we're not going to see Tyler Clippard anymore. I'm a little bit disappointed, Joe. He was growing on me, but here is Scott Proctor. And what do you think?
Well, I think it's great. I think what he's doing is great. The right thing to do. The reason, John, you want him to have a great and positive experience, you know, to build on. And, I mean, we thought he had a lot of confidence going out there today. Next time he goes out there, he'll be even more confident. So I think it's the right thing to do if you're Joe Torre.
I'm sure Joe, if he'd gotten 5 out of him, just even close in the game, he would have been happy with that.
But the kid showed him a lot. I mean, he showed everyone a lot.
The longer he went, the better he got. Sean Green with a soaring pop-up. Alex Rodriguez fouled round. And there is one away. Tyler Clippard gave up a run in the 2nd inning. But he came out throwing strikes right away. Struck out the first batter he ever faced. Got down a sacrifice bunt in the 4-run 4th inning. And then he hit a double in the 6th inning. His first major league hit. He's got a 1.50 ERA after his first major league start. And he's hitting .500. Only allowed 3 hits and retired 16 of the last 17 hitters that he faced. Only 1 hit allowed to the last 17 hitters he faced.
And he had 95 pitches. Again, I think that's all, you know, was put into the equation by Joe Torre. And he said, I think he's done a great job. That's enough for tonight.
So the bullpen will try and shut down the Mets for the final 3. They have a 6-1 lead. And Loduca dunks one into shallow center. His 2nd hit of the game. He's the only guy to have had a hit since the 2nd inning for the Mets.
John, while we have a quick moment, our good buddy Ed Randall, you know, the broadcaster friend of ours, he's having his annual Bat for the Cure tomorrow golf tournament over at the Hudson National to raise money for prostate cancer. And he's got a lot of great players coming over to play, a lot of celebrities. And this is his 3rd annual golf tournament. So good luck to Ed and all the fellas that are going to be over there tomorrow.
Here's Damion Easley now against Proctor, and that's ball 1. The pitcher's spot due up next, and Ruben Gotay has come out on deck for the Mets. Damion Easley, veteran player, and he's been playing a little bit more here lately because Valentin, the regular second baseman, Jose Valentin, is on the disabled list, and Easley's hit some big home runs for them.
Well, he's been doing a great job. He's 2nd on the team in home runs.
A-Rod right next to the coach's box, and Easley fouls out. Easley's 0 for 2 with a walk. Now Gotay will come up.
Well, he was 2nd until Wright hit the home run tonight. Beltran was leading.
So now he's 3rd.
Now he's 3rd with 6 home runs.
So you got that correct.
Yes.
Very good diligence there on your part.
Well, the one run on the board came from Wright, so I have to give him credit.
So now Ruben Gotay. He had his dad used to play in the big leagues.
Julio Gotay. I know Julio. I knew Julio. Actually, he was a teammate of mine.
So he could almost anybody in this game, you could say, 6 degrees of separation from Joe Morgan.
Well, he could hit. I mean, Julio could really hit.
So Ruben Gotay, the son of a former major leaguer, a switch hitter with a .217 average. He's only had 23 big league at-bats this year. He does have a home run, which he hit in San Francisco a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, Julio was a right-handed hitter strictly. He wasn't a switch hitter like his son. One of the things we've noticed is all the sons are newer and improved. They're improving on their dad's contributions.
Now 1-1. By the way, Peter Pasquarelli corrects me. His uncle was Julio.
Oh, okay.
Who played, that you knew.
Played with. Yeah.
His father, Ruben Sr., played in the minor leagues. And Gotay rips one into the gap. Abreu hurries it back. Loduca will be stopped at third on a pinch hit double by Ruben Gotay.
Well, he's like his uncle. He can hit. It looks like a low pitch changeup away. You can see that he went out and got it. Just nice compact swing there. And he finds the gap in right center field.
So now Jose Reyes will come up, and Reyes was just shut down tonight by Tyler Clippard. I think if you're going to beat the Mets, you need to start with Reyes. He got Reyes, kept him off the bases, and also got him in a spot where Reyes could have driven in some runs. Curveball, strike from Proctor.
And he has a good curveball, Scott Proctor does. He has a good curveball, good live fastball. He's got great stuff. The only time he gets in trouble when he leaves pitches in the middle of the plate.
So Reyes could start to make this interesting if he could get a base hit right here. Fastball inside.
Well, that's probably true because if he gets a base hit, brings him within 3, and then he'll probably steal second.
Plus, he gets pretty good hitters coming up after him. The Yankee bullpen is very busy right now. The left-hander is Ron Villano, and the right-hander, Brian Bruni. Ball and a strike. Runners at second and third. Ooh, the big hook.
Yeah, he's got a great one. He really does.
Followed the 95-mile-an-hour fastball with that curveball.
Well, the great thing here is, look, it starts in the strike zone. By the time he catches it, it's out of the strike zone.
1-2 the count. Loduca at third, Gotay at second, 2 down. Mets need the big 2-out hit here. Down 6-1. Fastball. That got to play 97 miles an hour on that one.
And you can see how Posada was working him. He's thrown a couple of breaking balls, but he wants to keep him honest by coming inside with a fastball. And when you do that, you can't just look strictly for a curveball again on this pitch.
The Reyes is such a great player at a young age, but he'd never done all that well against the Yankees. A .218 lifetime average for him against the Yankees. His second worst average against any team. Proctor ahead of him, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Fastball, strike 3 call. So it goes for the Mets and Jose Reyes on this night. The Yankees. Sunday night baseball from Shea Stadium, New York. The Yankees lead the Mets in Game 3 of this Shea Stadium portion of the Subway Series for 2007. After the Mets won the first 2 games, and Aaron Heilman, who is ordinarily the 8th inning setup man for the Mets when they're leading, comes in here to face Scott Proctor up there hitting for himself in the 9th spot in the order. With the top of the order, Johnny Damon on deck, Derek Jeter due up third. 6-1, the Yankees on top. Tomorrow night, the Yankees will be at Yankee Stadium as Proctor is called out on strike, and the Boston Red Sox will come calling. So they'll be facing, after battling the top team in the National League this weekend, they'll take on the team that has the best record in the American League starting tomorrow night. And some crucial games for them. The Mets, meanwhile, will be going to Atlanta. And the Mets and the Braves are the top two teams right now in the National League East. As Johnny Damon takes a strike, and Peter Gammons was up at Fenway. The Red Sox and the Braves tangled this weekend. And both of those teams have been playing pretty well, Peter.
They're playing very well, John. I mean, the Red Sox haven't really haven't hit the way they will. Manny Ramirez and J.D. Drew haven't really gotten going. The biggest concern for them right now is the disabled Josh Beckett, who won't be pitching in this series. And Josh insists, and he keeps showing me his finger. It's not a blister. He just tore the skin on a ball that he said was a defective baseball. He's going to be back after missing one more start after this. And the Braves, Tim Hudson will not be pitching in this series, which is unfortunate for them. But they're really playing well. Their young players have started to really develop. Kelly Johnson has become an outstanding second baseman. In fact, Bobby Cox maintains he turns double play better than anybody in the league.
He almost hit for the cycle last night at Fenway.
Well, the point is, though, do you think that the Atlanta Braves are better than the New York Mets?
I still worry about their pitching a little bit, particularly with Mike Gonzalez's arm problems, and they really don't know why he's lost. His velocity's gone down to 84 to 86. He had an MRI. It was clean, but they need him in the bullpen. And, whether they're starting pitching without Mike Hampton, without Gonzalez in the bullpen is good enough. They're pitching Davies and James in this series. Those are the guys that are going to have to start to step up.
All right, taking a step further, do you think the Red Sox are better than the Yankees for the long run?
I think they probably are because of their pitching and the depth of the team. I think they're a little bit younger in terms of their position players and their pitching if Beckett comes back. And he's a key factor because he's their number one starter at this point. And they have to have him for the long haul. But that said, I do believe once the Yankees have Wong, Pettit, Mussina, Clemens, and Hughes in their rotation, I think it'll be a very different team in the second half of the season.
Derek Jeter, the hitter now, who has had a double and a two-run homer in this game, and he takes a strike call from Aaron Heilman. And the Braves have been so far getting great work from both John Smoltz and Tim Hudson. And sometimes the other guys are pitching well, but they've had the two big guys both holding up their end beautifully at the top of that rotation.
I just think that when you look at the Mets, they have more ways to beat you than any other team in the National League. They have speed, they can manufacture runs, they have power, and their power hasn't been on display like it will be when Delgado starts to swing the bat better.
Yeah, they have some guys who have not done well.
Exactly.
Peter was talking about Manny Ramirez and J.D. Drew with the Red Sox. The Mets could say the same thing about Delgado and David Wright until recently was not hitting. One thing, though, the Mets have played the Braves already this year. They've lost 4 out of 6 to them.
Yeah. Well, I think part of that is that each time Glavine has had to pitch against them, and Glavine has not pitched well against the Braves since he left there. I mean, his record against the Braves is worse than anyone because they've handled him much better.
2-2 to Jeter, and 3-2 now. Moises Alou on the disabled list right now for the Mets. He's one of the guys who was hitting well for them, hitting .318, and he should be back for the disabled list fairly soon.
And he's a veteran hitter. That's the key. He can handle any type of pitching.
3-2 to Jeter. There is Beltran, and the inning is over. 3 up, 3 down. Aaron Heilman retiring the Yankees. Chavez, Beltran, Delgado coming up. The Mets are still down by 5, 6-1.
Copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
Sellout crowd, the 6th largest in Shea Stadium history for this Yankees-Mets interleague game. Subway Series matchup. There's ball 1 from Scott Proctor to Andy Chavez. Trying to get on base in front of the home run hitters. Chavez will be followed by Beltran, Delgado, and if somebody gets aboard, David Wright. They're down. They need a lot of base runners right now. They're down by 5 runs. 6-1. The Yankees lead, last of the 8th. Chavez 0 for 2 with a walk in this game. 56,438, the official paid crowd. Chavez fouls one away. Both ball clubs will be leaving their current ballparks after next year. They're both building new yards. We can see the Mets' new yard out behind the left field bleachers going up. The city park, there's a part of it off beyond the outer reaches of this ballpark. That curveball rolled to Cano, and Chavez is retired. He's 0 for 3, 1 away. Let's take a look at our Lowe's home team advantage. Opening day 2009 at Citi Field will have a capacity of 45,000, and it is said to be inspired by Ebbets Field, the old home of the Brooklyn Dodgers. The entryway will pay respect and give tribute to Jackie Robinson. As you get a look at an artist's rendering of the inside of the ballpark. Curveball is low to Carlos Beltran. He is 0 for 3 tonight. Facing Scott Proctor in relief of Tyler Clippard. The ball is ripped into right field for a base hit just in front of Abreu. Beltran's first hit. Only the 6th hit of the game for the Mets as a team. Now Carlos Delgado will come up. The old Ebbets Field, when you walked in behind home plate, the main entrance of the ballpark, they had a rotunda, and the ticket booths and all that sort of thing were inside the rotunda. And apparently they're going to do a similar sort of a look when you come in from behind home plate at the Mets' new ballpark. City Park. 0-1 to Delgado. He is 0 for 3 in the game. And there's the Jackie Robinson rotunda as depicted in the artist's rendering. Life is not important except in the impact it has on other lives, which is a phrase from Jackie Robinson, which is also on his headstone and in his grave. There's a foul off to the left by Delgado. 0-2 the count.
John, you can see that Delgado's not able to get his hands through, and they're pitching him inside because he's having trouble with the pitch inside. And as we said, once he starts hitting, the Mets are going to be that much more dangerous. But he's still suffering a little bit from the surgery in the offseason.
Mariano Rivera, one of the right-handers warming up for the Mets. Mac DeSalvo is in the foreground, the rookie who's pitched well. Broken bat. The bat just shattered, and Minkiewicz will handle this himself. As Beltran goes over to second base.
And that's part of the problem. He knows they're pitching him inside, so they come inside, and he may even go off the plate inside to make a swing because you know what they're doing, and you're trying to make the adjustment.
So hard times early this year for Carlos Delgado. Remember, he had 38 home runs last year. You go back over several years, he hits 30-something every year.
But the problem is when you have something wrong with your hands, your wrist, it's very difficult until your hands feel better to let it go because you're protecting the inside part of the plate as he was doing there.
David Wright has a home run tonight for the Mets' only run. 0-1. Wright is also struck out and flied out to shallow right center. 1 for 3. David Wright got to the end of April with no homers. Back to the screen, had a pretty good rip at that fastball. It's 0-2. Facing Scott Proctor here in the 8th. Proctor had a very good year for the Yankees last year. And we saw him last month at Fenway Park. At that time, he had worked in about 2/3 of the Yankee games. And the night we saw him at Fenway, he looked like he was the worse for wear. Throwing well tonight. This is his 23rd game of the year out of the Yankees' first 42. And the breaking ball, strike 3 call. A slider to get him. And the inning is over. On to the 9th inning. Matsui, A-Rod, and Posada due up. 6-1 Yankees. Shea Stadium, New York, and a lot of fans have already begun the trek home. A working day tomorrow. The Yankees lead the Mets 6-1. So the Yankees seem to have this one well in hand as Aaron Heilman delivers ball 1 to Hideki Matsui. Matsui, who hit doubles in each of his first 2 at-bats, since then has flied out to the left fielder twice. He is 2 for 4. Alex Rodriguez on deck. Jorge Posada due up 3rd. Change up from Heilman. He's got a good one. 1 ball, 1 strike. 6-1, the Yankees leading the Mets. The Yankees were down 1-0 in the 4th inning, and they scored 4 runs all after 2 were down. A bloop double by Damon for 2 runs, and then followed up by a 2-run homer by Jeter. Fans, watch your team's out-of-market games live from anywhere in the world. Major League Baseball live right to your desktop or laptop. Go to ESPN.com and search MLB.tv. Sign up today. Check out the Mosaic device. We can see 6 games all at one time. Under the glove of Wright, and Matsui is aboard. Now, early, Joe, before you and I were here, we had a cameraman watching the grounds crew getting the batting cage ready for batting practice. Now, watch what happens when this grounds crew member puts down that special tarp. Now watch the grounds crew member here. He wasn't aware there was a cat there, and he sees the cat and says, "Oh my!" Apparently the cat and the grounds crew member are doing just fine. Delgado at foul ground, and Alex Rodriguez is promptly retired, and he is 1 for 5. Take a look now. This cat is in that tarp. Whoa.
The catcher, Jorge Posada.
The cat, he probably sound asleep, just minding his own business in there, having a good snooze.
I guess they just decided to give Matsui a hit because they just put one on the scoreboard. It was 11. Now there's 12.
Yeah, they gave him a hit. What do you think? How do you feel about that call?
I can live with that.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Here is Posada. You know, there never was batting practice on the field tonight. As it turned out, they got the whole field ready for BP. And it started raining while they were getting it ready. And then it started raining hard. And belatedly, they went over and got the tarp and unrolled it and put it on the infield as Posada takes a strike. And so that infield got pretty wet before they got the tarp over. So I'm thinking maybe, Joe, that ball hit sharply by Matsui. It kind of hydroplaned and shot under the glove of David Wright.
I think the question, John, is can the Yankees build on this? They scored 7 runs in yesterday's ball game, even though it was a loss. They have 6 runs so far in this ball game. And then the question is, as we talked about a hitter, can one game turn a team around? And I think it can, because I've seen it happen a lot of times with hitters and with teams. Whether it will or not, we'll have to wait and see, but it can.
Beltran over in left center. And Posada is retired. Posada 1 for 4 with a home run. 2 down. Matsui goes back to first.
We'll definitely have a chance to find out because the Red Sox are coming in.
Yeah.
And you have to play well if you're going to play the Red Sox and just hang with them.
Well, they're going to be ready for the Red Sox anyway. The pitching is lined up the way they want it. They're 3 best starters right now, considering Clemens is still not activated. And they're lined up to face the Red Sox the next 3 days. Bobby Abreu, who has had 2 hits and a walk tonight. struggling most of the early weeks of this season. He's been Abreu-like in this game. Chin-Ming Wong goes tomorrow against Tim Wakefield. Mike Messina against Julian Tavares on Tuesday, and then Andy Pettitte and Kurt Schilling on Wednesday. Monday's ball game on ESPN and ESPN HD at 7 Eastern. Wakefield versus Wong for the big ballpark in the Bronx. And Dave O'Brien and Rick Sutcliffe will have it for you. Tuesday, Tavares against Messina. And Wednesday again on ESPN and ESPN HD at 7. Schilling versus Pettitte. Change up, a beauty from Heilman. 2-1. When we saw the Yankees at Fenway a month ago, it was just the opposite. The Red Sox rotation had their big three set up for that weekend. Schilling and Matsuzaka and Beckett went that weekend. And the Yankees rotation was in disarray. They had rookies and major league debuts and all kinds of things happening that weekend. Andy Pettitte actually worked out of the bullpen in our Sunday night telecast. Bullpen a little short on arms. So they'll be ready with their big three to go against the Red Sox, and maybe even on top of that with Roger Clemens joining the rotation when they go to Boston the first weekend in June. 3-1 and 3-2 now. On the other hand, ready or not, as you pointed out earlier, Joe, I mean, they're way behind the Red Sox right now, 10.5. At the moment. In fact, they're 11. It's Baltimore in second place, 10.5 out. 10 in the loss column. They lead this game 6-1. There goes Matsui, and Abreu fouls one. That is the most games behind any Joe Torre-led Yankee team has ever been at any point in the season. Now, in the wild card, even there, they're well behind. 8 games back.
I don't even think you can think about the wild card until you get over 500. So if you're the Yankees, you're looking to try to get over 500, and then we'll worry and see where everything settles at that point.
Well, I'm not saying that they're thinking about the wild card. I'm just saying even that is, there's nothing to think about. Ball forward to Abreu, so he does get the walk after all.
Second baseman Robinson.
The Yankee bullpen continues to work. We saw Mariano Rivera up earlier. And Rivera is apparently going to come in the last of the ninth inning. He has not worked in a game since Wednesday. And he has not had a save opportunity in 17 days. When they got 2 saves, saving both ends of a doubleheader. He's only had 3 saves all year. The Yankees have hardly ever had a game that needed saving this year. So Rivera, on the night before a big series with the Red Sox would open, could end up in this game to get some work in. And there's Delgado, and Cano is retired. Cano is 1 for 5. 1 hit, 2 men left. Last chance for the Mets. They're down 6-1. The day in baseball, the NBA, the NHL, you name it, and they'll have the story. SportsCenter right after Sunday Night Baseball. The Yankees 6, the Mets 1 as we head to the last of the ninth. And our Chevrolet player of the game is who else? Tyler Clippard in his Major League debut. And in recognition of 6 strong innings of pitching, when the Yankees really needed a lift, he also hit a double, got a bunt down. Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to Major League Baseball's youth outreach program, reviving baseball in the inner cities. Congratulations to Tyler Clippard. Mariano Rivera in a non-save situation. Sean Green, the hitter, and a strike on the outside.
But, John, when you've been struggling at the beginning, as Mariano was, you take this as seriously as you would a save. You go out there and pitch the same way you will if you get a chance to save a ball game.
He was really struggling early on. He had a couple of blown saves, and he really got routed in a game at Fenway.
Yeah, I think the one that bothered him the most was, I guess, the 0-2 pitch to in Oakland when
Marco Scudero
hit the 2-run homer to beat him.
Scudero beat him at the Coliseum, and then a few days later, he gave it up at Fenway.
Well, there's a lot. Beltre hit a home run off of him in Seattle, and
it has not been pretty. That 6.59 ERA is there for a reason. 10 runs, 16 hits allowed. Green just got a piece of it to stay alive. 10 runs, 16 hits allowed, and only 13 2/3 innings. Here's that game you're talking about against the Mariners with Adrian. Well, this is Richie Sexson. Struck out Sexson, and this was not a save opportunity. It was a tie ball game. The ball is fouled back and out of play by Green. He stays alive. We got Sexson and then Jose Guillen. One and two to Sean Green. And Cano throws him out, one away. And then this is the home run you're talking about to Adrian Beltre in that game in Seattle. And Mariano Rivera has lost 3 games this year. 1 win, 3 losses, and only 3 saves, and only 5 opportunities to get saves.
I think that's what's amazing. Only 5 opportunities.
Now Loduca, ball 1. Loduca has 2 hits for the Mets a night when they have only 6 hits total. Yankees got the pitching Friday from Andy Pettitte to have won Game 1 of this series, but they just could not put the runs on the board. They lost it 3-2.
Well, Andy has pitched well a couple of games like that where they just have not been able to score runs for him.
He's got a 2.83 earned run average as that ball is fouled back out of play.
And the one thing you have to remember, you're going to have to score 4 or 5 runs at least if you're going to win the American League East. You're going to have to score some runs in the American League. And it can't be just an average where you score 13 one day and 2 the next and 2 the next.
Pettitte is in the top 10 in earned run average in the league and has only 2 wins. So they've wasted a lot of good pitching from Andy Pettitte. 1-2 to Loduca. Next Sunday, Joe, what do you say we go to Detroit?
Yeah, Detroit has started to play well.
If it's okay with Peter, we should ask Peter about that as well. The Tigers are playing the Cleveland Indians. Cleveland is doing so far this year what Detroit was doing this time last year, beating everybody. Loduca has to bend back from that one, and it's 2-2. And Peter, although the Red Sox have the best record in the league, not many teams are playing better than Cleveland right now.
No, John, they have a great deal of depth in their lineup. It's a much deeper team than they've had in the past. And their starting pitcher, Sabathia, has been terrific. And Fausto Carmona, who we might see next Sunday night, has been one of the most dominant pitchers in the American League.
Carmona, who had 1 win and 10 losses last year, and yet Peter, after seeing him this spring, kind of picked him to be, I remember you picking him, Peter, to be, you thought maybe one of the top pitchers around this year.
Absolutely. I watched him beat Johan Santana on Thursday. He beat him 2-0. And I mean, they left him in to pitch the complete game. His last pitch, the 121st of the game, was a 97-mile-an-hour sinker. He does it on both sides of the plate. I talked to Yankee players who say they think he has as good a stuff as almost any starter in the league.
Loduca with the fly ball. And that's going to be Melky Cabrera, who came in to play center in this inning, replacing Damon. Loduca retired. 2 down. He also has, as Bob Shepard likes to call it, a euphonious name, Fausto Carmona. So we should get him next Sunday. He should be due up in our Sunday night game in Detroit. So we'll check in with Gary Sheffield and company. The Detroit Tigers, they're playing extremely well too. Tigers moved ahead of Cleveland in the Central Division today. As the Detroit Tigers beat St. Louis, they swept the world champion Cardinals through the weekend in Detroit. And Cleveland got a win over Cincinnati today in the All-Ohio interleague matchup. So Detroit actually has a 1-game lead over Cleveland at the end of this weekend. So we'll see them both head-to-head. And what about the White Sox, Joe? I think the White Sox feel a little bit like the Yankees right now. They've struggled. Nobody's hitting.
Well, you're right. They're not hitting, and Jim Thome's been out. They need his left-handed bat in that lineup. Jermaine Dye swinging the bat well.
Just started swinging it well. Easley bounces it foul. So that's 15 pitches in the inning from Mariano Rivera, who could be needed as early as tomorrow night in the 9th inning, maybe with a 1-run lead over the Red Sox. Just getting some work in tonight. The Yankees lead the Mets 6-1. It's too high. So we'll see at 8 o'clock next Sunday. We're here every Sunday at 8. Check us out. And we'll be in Detroit at the beautiful downtown home of the Tigers, Comerica Park. Tigers, Cleveland, from that very solid Central Division. Some people think maybe that's the best division, the deepest division in all of baseball this year.
Well, it probably is the deepest. I mean, when you look at the White Sox, they haven't gotten started yet, and you know Detroit and Minnesota is not going to go away, even though they've struggled this past weekend.
So that's four excellent teams.
Yeah.
And the cutter a little bit too high. A moment ago, we saw Tyler Clippard still sitting in the Yankee dugout, rooting his team on.
Well, you got to savor that first victory, John. That's what he's hoping for.
Rivera needs 1 strike more to make Tyler Clippard a winner in his major league debut. And Easley hanging tough. 2-2. The Mets have the ancient one, Julio Franco, out on deck to pinch hit for the pitcher if Easley could get aboard this. Julio Franco, the 48-year-old phenom. Two and two the count. And another foul back out of play.
Damion Easley is really battling here.
Well, they're making Rivera work here. They've fouled off several pitches. He's thrown 20 pitches in the inning. Now, when Mariano is at the top of his game, it's not unusual to see him 3 up, 3 down, 8, 9 pitches. Full count. But again, that's part of why he's in here tonight. He did not pitch since Wednesday. These closers, especially on good teams, are used to working 4 times or more a week. 3-2 the count. That one is hit well. That one is way back there. Gone! A home run! Damion Easley with his 7th home run of the year. And this one came against Mariano Rivera on the 10th pitch of the battle.
Well, he went inside with a fastball a pitch before, and then it looked like he tried to throw a cutter. It was up a little bit as well, but Easley really battling him. He was right on a lot of those pitches, so I won't criticize Mariano. You got to give this guy credit. I mean, the ball is up a little bit, but it's also away. But he was battling him so hard, he got some good swings and fouled some pitches off. I know Mets fans are still thinking, hey, we scored 5 in the 9th off of the Cubs a couple of days ago. Maybe we can do it again.
That is the 3rd home run allowed by Rivera this year in 14 of the 3rd innings. Last year, he allowed 3 the whole season in 75 innings. 6-2 the Yankees lead. And here is Julio Franco. Ball 1.
You know, one thing I've noticed with pitchers and Julio Franco now, they do not throw him anything but hard stuff, fastballs, because, you know, he can catch up with the slider, but they said he was having trouble catching up with the fastball. We'll see what Mariano does here. Yeah, there's a fastball. He was a little late on that one.
94 miles an hour.
But you have to have a good fastball, you know, to do that.
Franco is 48 years old. And he would turn 49 before this season is over. 25 pitches in this inning for Mariano Rivera. Right there in the outside corner. 2-2. Jose Reyes would be next. Reyes, who was held hitless tonight by Tyler Clippard, and then in his last at bat by Scott Proctor. He struck him out. So it took him 27 pitches to wrap it up. But now this one goes in the books. A win for 22-year-old Tyler Clippard, who lives in Trinity, Florida. An emergency starter for the Yankees. And what a debut it was, Joe. He came right out and looked like a veteran from the first pitch he threw tonight. Congratulations to Tyler Clippard. And he gives the Yankees a shot of adrenaline when they really needed it. 6-2, the Yankees win it. The Mets do not get their sweep. Sports Center is coming up next. Stay tuned for that. Now for Joe Morgan and Peter Gammons, this is Jon Miller. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the telecast. And we say now good night to you from Shea Stadium, New York. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.
Dice K's everything we expected. He's the best. Welcome to Boston, Dice K. Welcome to Boston.
So far, Dice K is living up to his lofty expectations.
He can have some live fastballs.
And Dice K puts him away with hard stuff.
He's throwing with different movements on it.
And the fourth ball, strike three call.
He has like 7 different pitches.
That may have been that gyro ball.
So hopefully, he can be another ace in our starting rotation.
Then again, last year at the first ever World Baseball Classic, everyone got to see what Matsuzaka could do.
You had a tremendous series. Take this trophy home with you as the most valuable player of the World Baseball Classic.
Ichiro also helped Japan win the title. And it was just 6 years ago that he too was in the spotlight as a major league rookie.
Not only was he playing for himself, but he was playing for a country. He was the guy that everybody was going to judge their players on, from coming over, and he did an incredible job.
Ichiro, you are unbelievable!
There's a few guys that seems like they're always around 200 hits a season, sometimes 250 for Ichiro.
He's the new all-time hit king in Major League history, number 258.
This is the greatest moment of my baseball career.
The most exciting export from Japan since Godzilla.
Did someone say Godzilla?
Godzilla's in the building.
In 2003, baseball's version of the mythic monster did indeed invade New York.
A grand slam for Hideki Matsui. Godzilla takes another bite out of the Big Apple.
Everyone says he's like Jordan over there in Japan.
The prodigal son returns here in Tokyo.
Homerun, homerun, sayonara! A home run for Hideki Matsui. Welcome home.
Seeing Hideki in his hometown, it was amazing.
He is the darling of this country, of this crowd, of this week.
But Hideki and Ichiro are not alone. Men like Tadahito Iguchi of the White Sox, Tampa Bay's Akinori Iwamura, Seattle catcher Kenji Jojima, Texas closer Akinori Otsuka, and Dodger closer Takashi Saito are all making a major league impact. And with All-Star voting now in Japan, you just might see some of them at this year's All-Star game. This Week in Baseball is presented by Pepsi, the choice of Major League Baseball.
They say that jingles sell.
Week in Baseball, presented by Pepsi. We've been learning all about Japanese baseball this week, both overseas and here at home. We're not done yet. Here are Gillette's top 5 things you didn't know about Japanese baseball. We begin with Sadahara Oh, who's the home run king of planet Earth. 5 current major leaguers: Kenji Jojima,
Jojima is on a power trip.
Kei Agawa, and Hideki Matsui.
He's 4 for 4.
And Kaz Matsui and Ichiro Suzuki, who are all MVPs of their league in Japan.
Holy cow!
Hideki Matsui has his own museum in Japan.
This picture represents Hideki's dream as a child of wanting to become a professional baseball player.
When Daisuke Matsuzaka pitched his high school team to the title in 1998, he threw a 17-inning, 250-pitch complete game. And did you know that Major League Baseball has sent a touring team to Japan since 1908?
It's getting them out and getting them to see a larger part of the world. I think it's very good for them and for baseball in general.
The most recent tour took place at the end of the 2006 season.
Tokyo's a different world. It's New York times 10. A lot of old stuff is still in this city. I think it's kind of cool they keep their history. And then the new stuff's around, like the skyscrapers, everything.
Hey, I'm Bronson Roller from the Cincinnati Reds.
Bill Hall from the Milwaukee Brewers.
And we're in town here in Tokyo, first day. We're heading over to Damn TV Japan right now.
見てもらいました。IC は Justin Timberlake と
Sexy bad.
Sexy bad.
Sexy bad. It was fun to go over there and just kind of see their setup and see how their VJs work. I got to learn that move right now. I was very surprised just because, you know, MTV's hard to get on for one, especially for a baseball player just strumming an acoustic guitar. I went on a little sightseeing tour, went around to a couple shops, made some purchases.
I can see you rocking some pearl studs.
Taking care of everybody back home, so don't think I wasn't looking out for everybody.
Sushi. Just point. Pictures.
You getting a shot? Is it good?
6 games in 3 cities were played to determine the winner of this friendly East-West rivalry.
He's gonna throw pitches in. Hey, no, hey, over here.
We're having a good time, we're laughing, joking around, but you know, also we want to win. There's a lot of pride that goes into these games.
I could really feel it the first night when we were down in the first game, and David hit that 2-run homer.
It's an impressive bomb.
The whole place just came alive.
If you just play a game here and experience the atmosphere that they have here and the cheering, the very supportive fans.
Here we go. Crowd's getting lively.
Players are having a great time with that.
It's unbelievable here, you know. Like, I see these guys, I'm hoping they don't get too squashed to death over here, you know.
He said to the umpire, what? yeah.
This one's lifted deep into right center field. No doubt about this one.
Blast off. Hey, thank you.
Thank you. Arigato. You heard my Japanese? Wow.
My whole goal coming over here was not only to just experience the Japanese baseball and meet the players and see the way they play the game, but also to enjoy the culture and enjoy the customs. And obviously meeting the Prime Minister is one of the huge perks of coming over here on this tour.
You know, he looked good in the jersey that we gave him, and we're needing a second baseman next year, so you know, we invited him to come on over and play second base for us.
Sitting down and having the opportunity to speak with him for a few minutes, it's something that I'm always going to remember.
Baseball's taken me a lot of places, and to be able to come to Japan and represent, you know, my team and everybody in these games over here is a big deal. Segoe! I appreciate that.
Sayonara.
Happy
from 30 years of toil. As you know by now, Daisuke's making quite a splash in Boston.
Matsuzaka Mania has taken over Fenway Park.
But 12 years ago, Hideo Nomo captivated an entire nation.
Hideo is the first Japanese player to sign a big league contract after playing pro ball in Japan. From the land of the rising sun to Tommy's son.
Say I bleed Dodger blue.
Nomo won 13 games and was Rookie of the Year. We'll have to see if Daisuke can follow in his footsteps.
Happy anniversary this week in baseball. That didn't sound right, did I? Is that right? Okay, sorry.
Now it's time for Twibia. Ichiro Suzuki collected 1,354 hits in his first 6 seasons, the most in Major League history. Before Ichiro, who held the record for the most hits in his first 6 Major League seasons? Was it Kirby Puckett, Joe DiMaggio, Paul Wainer, or Wade Boggs? The answer after this. Before Ichiro, who held the record for the most hits in his first 6 Major League seasons? It was Kirby Puckett, who had 1,243 hits from 1984 through 1989. Now it's time for Pepsi Presents.
My name's Johnny D. I'm drinking Pepsi.
New York Yankees center fielder Johnny Damon is a perfect Pepsi spokesman, and he has a twin.
Hello to This Week in Baseball. There you go. Over there. Ooh, yeah. How we doing?
Joe Mauer's the reigning batting average king in the American League, and Damon has the 5th most hits in baseball in the last 10 years. These guys can hit.
A 3-run home run for Johnny Damon. 5 for Mauer. This is something special, folks.
So now the task was to showcase their skills in a creative way, and a clever commercial was born.
Pepsi is the sponsor of clutch plays. What's more clutch than somebody diving for home? Last play of the game could be the run that wins the game.
Here comes the runner to the plate. He scores. The A's win the game.
But plays like this happen so fast, so Pepsi slowed it down.
It's me trying to score a run, and Joe Mauer happens to be the catcher. And all of a sudden, when I'm trying to score, somebody pushes pause.
While he's in midair, I'm waiting for the ball to come in, and we kind of just have a little conversation until he gets back.
How you doing? I'm doing great. You're not planning on catching that.
Yes, I am.
The person who pushes pause and goes and grabs a Pepsi, we're praying that the guy doesn't take forever to come back.
Of course, to pull off this kind of effect, it takes a little movie magic.
We shoot the players on green screen so that we can remove everything except their heads.
So by the time we get finished, it'll look like it actually happened, even though it didn't.
Doing a commercial, you definitely want to do it right because people see it, they might want to watch it or press pause.
And now the world premiere of Pepsi's newest baseball commercial.
Damon connects. It's in the gap. The center fielder bobbles it. They're waving Damon home. The throw to Mauer, and Damon is...
Hey, man.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
I'm doing great. You're not planning on catching that.
Yes, I am. You know Laz here?
Hey, Laz, you're going to call me safe, right, man?
I think I got the plate pretty well covered.
I'll be the judge of that.
For at least 100 runs every year since 1998, Alex Rodriguez is the other. We've been talking about the synergy of Japanese baseball in the major leagues and what it's meant to the fans. Well, this week's front row fan is actor Gary Cole, who you may know from Office Space or Talladega Nights. But he recently starred in a film about both baseball and Japan.
At the center of the story is baseball. But what it really focuses on is these internment camps that were built at the outset of World War II, where Japanese Americans were forced to live.
Once you exit this vehicle, go to the center circle to get your belongings.
We show the distance between the American military and the Japanese Americans within the camp. And slowly we see the game of baseball bringing them closer together.
One day, I found a game, baseball.
The people and these characters are invented, but the baseball leagues were formed within the internment camps.
I want to make a league here, just like we had at home.
And then those teams played military scrimmage teams that were put together to face them.
Now, we all know that Gary is a fine actor, but how's his game?
Probably the fairest assessment of baseball would be say, my baseball is cinema adequate. One great thing about movie baseball is you look 100 times better than you probably are.
Well, that's what editors are for. But when it comes to being a fan, Gary needs no help whatsoever.
I can remember the first Major League Baseball game I went to and walking up that tunnel and seeing this vast green pasture. And I'll never forget that.
And as a Cubs fan, Gary can rattle off his early heroes.
Favorite players were mid-'60s, late '60s Cubs, so of course Ernie Banks was at the top of that list.
Ernie Bingo Banks. Banks is a two-time winner of the National League's Most Valuable Player Award.
Billy Williams, Ron Santo, that was my team.
So what about the 2007 Cubs?
They look fairly decent. They've got probably as good a chance, I guess, as anybody in the division.
Cubs are going to win. All right. Cubs win.
And while Gary sure hopes his Cubs do win it all, his passion for baseball itself goes much deeper.
I always think that the game is the star and will outlast everything and everybody around.
This Week in Baseball, presented by Pepsi, will be right back.
America's Grand Game is on Fox. The Subway Series takes center stage. Alex Rodriguez leads the Bronx Bombers against David Wright and the Mets in the Battle of New York. Today on Fox Saturday Baseball. Check local listings.
And now in Japanese and English, here's Gatorade's How About That?
Nice uniform.
Oh, he got him! Ball game over!
CC is going to go to his feet. Throws, got him!
It's a shame, it's a shame, it's a perfect.
That is Jesse Litch. Dad gets pied too from Vernon Wells.
Make him pay, make him pay.
Here comes Andrew Jones and dives and he makes the catch.
The artist known as Andrew.
So easy and easy.
That is not an easy play. That's that Andrew Jones, Jermaine Dye, Torrey Hunter play.
Oh, off the top.
セカンドゴロだ。ショートに送られてまずアウト。そして一塁に転送間一発のタイミングのアウトダブルプレー。
That's what we do, baby. You feel me?
Hey, you want to say hi to your mom?
Mother's Day being celebrated all over the ballpark this afternoon.
I want to say hi to Mom. Love you, Mom.
All right, take Gibby Chase sliding. Oh, what a play he made!
ショート飛びついた。最高のショートでいいやつ。
That's Jose Reyes right there, man.
打った。
A no-doubter, folks.
Wow.
Diving stop Cabrera. On his feet, fires, got him. How about that? Awesome scene.
This guy's bringing it.
A good catch by the fan. That's nice. Wow. Oh, to top. It falls in between them. And he dropped it. 5 for 5, 6th time in his career. Ichiro has put up a 5-hit evening. He rips it. Oh my goodness, Ricky Weeks.
How about that?
Here he comes. Struck him out. What a gem by Jason Markey. Hey, that's how you do it, boys.
Do you believe it? Jack Costas won the game for the A's.
Be sure to tune in next week when chatty Orlando Hudson and the Diamondbacks welcome us to Arizona.
Jim, what's going on, big man? How you doing? What's going on, big dog? We're doing good, man.
For This Week in Baseball, I'm Buzz Brainerd. Sayonara, everybody.